Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pitt Day of Giving 2023. We're live streaming from the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown Cambria room in the Student Union. I'm Matt Cernell. I'm going to be one of your co-hosts here for today. I'm co-president of the Alumni Association. Next to me, I have Dave Janowski. Janisek, who's head of alumni in the Institutional Advancement Office and pretty much jack of all trades. And the handsome young man on the far side of the table is Senator John Wozniak, my co-president. Hi. You got to put the headset on, or no, and somebody has to talk into the mic. Pitt Day of Giving is kind of a unique event.
Should I be hearing you? Okay.
Certainly a unique event where we get to bring people together and share stories and ideas, but also talk about how you can help out our university here. And there's a variety of different ways. So first off, by tuning into the live stream, you've taken a great step. We need your help. We need your donations. upj.pitt.edu/give will give you all the information you need to get to our donation page. In the donation page, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the funds we have available,
Sure.
David?
Yeah, let me talk about, I want to say there's, excuse me, the old adage, something for everyone. You'll see throughout the day different guests, pop-ins, talking a little bit about the different funds. Athletics General Fund. When I say Athletics General Fund, that's any of our NCAA Division II teams. You can give to any of those.
Our wrestling team just finished a great season.
Just finished extending on international tracks. It isn't over yet. We have later on. We'll have some of the gentlemen, young gentlemen from the golf team.
Yep.
Talking about some of the needs they have. The Clark Strausser Student Resource Fund. For those of you that remember Mr. Strausser, that's another great fund to support. Also, just mentioned the golf indoor practice facility. When we talk about athletics, you talk about mind, body, and those kind of things. But also, athletics is a big recruiting piece. A lot having the right facilities, having top-notch facilities helps to bring young students our way. Another Ron Vickroy Scholarship Fund, and you'll find these all on the page that Matt had mentioned earlier. The Scholarship Fund. One of the things that I'm going to kind of jump onto now is unrestricted support. Unrestricted support is just about anything that you want to support. So maybe none of these appeal to you, and you say, I want to give to Pitt Day of Giving. I'm an alum, and I want to support my university. Unrestricted support is a great place for those dollars to land. The Veterans Fund. Also the Chemistry Fund, Geography Fund.
Yay, geographers.
The Engineering Fund, Log Cabin Fund. I know we talked a little bit about the beloved log cabin that's still here on the UPJ campus.
We're going to talk a little bit of that with John here.
Talk a little bit, right? It's one of those, one of the great, I like to call it one of the great affinity parts of Pitt-Johnstown. Everybody has a log cabin story. Hopefully John won't imbibe any of those stories with us today. Men's Baseball Fund, the Pasquarella Performing Arts Center. Beautiful facility, but we do want to see that being used a little bit more in the coming months and years. So there's a fund there. The Sergeant Baseman Memorial Scholarship Fund. And then Student Life Activities Fund. Again, Student Life Activities Fund covers everything from programming board, freshman orientation week, anything that, again, once the student gets on campus, that helps to build first that college life, and then we find out later ending up to be that affinity that brings people back, that brings us into the Alumni Association. And I just want to give a quick alumni plug. You are a member of the Alumni Association by virtue of graduation. So anyone out there that has graduated, if you're not getting our monthly e-newsletter, let me know, dgj7@pitt.edu. And I always say you can get involved in the Alumni Association from simply as minimal as liking our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, or stopping by our table today, to the maximum of, I've got $500,000 laying around that I want to endow to my university. So there's a lot of different entry points. So those are the places that you can give today. We'll be talking about those throughout the day. But I'd also want to give a plug for the alumni we're trying to reconnect. Relationships. So this is the place, the Alumni Association.
I think we were promised if we can generate somebody with a $500,000 donation today, they'll give all three of us honorary engineering degrees. Something that we'd never be able to accomplish on our own.
I think I might be able to master driving the train. I'm not sure.
John, you've one of the things that we have. If you want to. Yeah. Sounds better. We're learning, folks, as we go. This is the first time we're doing this type of live stream. One of the neat things is all three of us are alumni, different eras. And you are a relatively recent graduate.
Right.
Now I'm going to...
younger guys. And let me take this off because I can't hear myself think with it.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Get up close.
That'll work better.
So
let me direct this out to the people from the 1970s. And I want to say that between noon and 1, that's the hour of power. And I think for every dollar is matched. Is that what happens in the hour of power?
There's bonuses. Most people donate to different places. There's bonuses during the power hour.
And what we want to bring up, because a lot of people spent their 4 years at UPJ, but some went on to main campus, and they're very aggressive after trying to take after your dollars. And we want to make it clear that you're donating to the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown, because
yes.
And as all and most of you know my former world, and I know that every year the budget time comes up in Harrisburg, and all the universities and Penn State and Pitt have their hands out and asking, and that money's getting tighter and tighter. And those differences have to be made up. The inflationary spiral that's out there. But for those of you that haven't been on campus, there's been quite a few groups that have been here in the past year and just relatively impressed as to the changes that's happened since the 1970s. And so we want to make an open invite to any alumni to come and visit the campus and see what's happened. But importantly, to keep the doors open so that we have another generation of students that get that quality of education that I think all of us can attest to. Well, these two can. I just got through. But the fact that this is one of the highest-ranked universities in the East Coast. So I think that's rather impressive for a school that's sitting up in the mountains here in Johnstown.
It's really a hidden gem amongst everything else. We talked about being alumni. What was your degree in?
Economics.
Economics,
the dismal science. But I'll tell you what, in my career, all that distribution everybody moaned and groaned about, I used every piece of it. I would put the education I received at the University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown, up at, even though I didn't go to them, any other school in this country, because it was the quality of the professors, it was the size of the classrooms, and the interaction that we had with both students and professors, and the leadership. I was friends with the president, Frank Blackington, Al Etheridge, and now with Jim Spector. And they're all
Dr. Spector will be joining us here in the noon hour.
And students very approachable to the leadership of this campus. I think that makes a big difference when you're trying to make a decision as to where you want your sons and daughters to participate in.
David, what was your degree?
My degree was in journalism, so I don't know what is that. Is that the forgotten science?
Feels like it anymore.
Yeah, but I tell you what, to John's point, I graduated back in '89, and everything that John had said that happened in the '70s was carried on into the '80s and the '90s. You could approach, Dean Hasselrig. You could approach to Dean Schaefer. You could approach any of your advisors. But the one thing that I felt that was, we'll talk about it. I'm sure Dr. Spector will talk about it. Hands-on, real-world experience. When I graduated here in '89, I left here with a portfolio of stuff. I was going into interviews with, 10 magazine articles, projects that were mandatory. It wasn't something that you just was book science when it came to journalism. 35 years of working in nonprofits, and I've kind of come back to Pitt-Johnstown since May to try to hopefully do a lot with these guys, assist these guys with trying to build those relationships. And I want to just talk one thing. John talked about bringing groups back. I gave my email earlier. You can throw it up at some point. Go to the Facebook page. We'll tour anybody from 2 people to 50 to 100. It's getting people back onto this campus. John's right. The changes that have happened over the last 10 years, 15 years, the buildings, and not to be mistaken, your old favorites are still here. This isn't a university where they tear down one thing to build another thing. We expand. Like I said earlier, the log cabin's still here. When I went here, it was called the ENS, the Engineering and Science building, and now it's, nursing and chemical. But that original building is still here. So don't feel that if you graduated in 1973, you're going to come back and some of those old favorites aren't going to be on campus. They're all
You're
still
to find
here.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm an '06 grad in geography with a political science minor, because I guess I was a glutton for punishment. One of the neatest things when you talk about the connection and why giving today at upj.pitt.edu/give to help our students out, to help our programs out is so important, is almost 20 years later, 15 years later, I got to come back with a higher level of degree and start teaching here again. And one of the best experiences I've ever had in my career is doing that with our students. And over Christmas break, I had a student email me who was in my fall class. You talk about the hands-on kind of stuff. And he was thanking me. The hands-on stuff we did was the difference between him and somebody else getting a full-time job. And he emailed to say thank you. And he knew he can get a hold of me.
I take it he got the job and the other guy.
He did. He did. So that is very special when we talk about what makes this campus so unique and something that is that not just to see. I've been very lucky to be part of some of those tours that we've done.
Absolutely.
And bring people back on campus. But also the new students coming in and see the excitement that they have. And when you come and you're not one of 400 in a lecture hall, you know each other's names. You can tell personalities and stories and recognize people. That doesn't happen in big schools.
And I think, you're looking at a student to professor ratio of 1 to 14, an average class size of 17. And you're right, whenever I just kind of feel that there's that Pitt brand to it, but there's that Johnstown feeling to the product, where it's, you know everyone, you meet everyone. One of the things I do want to kind of throw out, before I forget, back in 1973, four divisions went from a 2-year to a 4-year. We'll be working with those divisions this year to bring people back from the last 50 years. So we're talking engineering, natural sciences, humanities. What's the other one?
Education.
Education, and the other sciences. What's the other science?
Social science.
Social sciences. So if you're an alum, look for emails, some outreach from the Alumni Association, as well as those departments, to try to bring back people from the last 50 years to get together and do a lot, what Matt's talking about, coming back. And
I think that's one of the things, and John, you've helped really set the tone for that too, is the idea that when we talk about the Alumni Association and we talk about the alumni office, there's schools that I've seen in my master's where deal with them. No, we support those programs because you were an engineer, You were a business economics person. You were a journalist. You have that connection to those specific people, not necessarily some hired gun from who knows where. And we're very lucky to have you as an alumni in the office. But you've been a big part of that.
Well, and for Dave Janicek here, I always remember Banachek from the old movie. But it's really been a spark plug and really been helpful to the Alumni Association because that journalism degree really comes in, the marketing and reaching out to people. So those of you listening now, the alumni, feel free to communicate with us ideas that you would like the alumni board to do. We're trying to reinvent the alumni board that has been sort of stagnant for a few years, and then COVID set us back. But we're trying to chart a course as to how do we engage people from the 20s, from the 2000s, from the 90s, 80s,
70s,
70s.
yeah.
How to get engaged with the university. Not just giving money, which is important, but what can the alumni board do, or what would you find fascinating that would make you engage in it? We're talking about maybe road trips and vacation trips and things that you can bring some of your old friends together and go places. Hit some of the football games with some bus trips and tailgating. Things that make us a family again, like we were back when we were all in school.
Yep.
Back when I used cuneiform as my way of communication.
No, it is very important to have that connection and bring those things together. And when you talk about getting on our feet, like everybody else, we took a hit just because you couldn't do certain things for a couple of years, but we're really hitting the ground running and wanting to do great things here and make that connection back. We want people to connect, that not just, yes, we are not going to forget today is Pitt Day of Giving.
Correct.
We need your support. We need your help. We need your financial help. But it's so much more than that too. It's the connection. It's the community. Dave's lucky. He's get to sit here with two distinguished alumni.
Yeah, right.
Award
Yeah, I guess
winners.
that's true.
Your ceremony last fall included members from the Asphalt campus
Right.
that was downtown.
Right. We had it started at Cypress or Johnstown High, then the Cypress School, and then up to here. Matter of fact, we had the Delta Chi fraternity had their 50th reunion, and there were some people there that actually came from the original campuses and came up here and finished their degree because a 2-year degree at that time at Pitt back home. And it's fascinating, and not just an eclectic group of people here, but we have students from every continent except maybe Antarctica that are participating and matriculating at the UPJ. So we're an international school as it goes with that too. But it's important that what's that EDU? What's that thing we sign in?
Oh, the website.
upj.pitt.edu/give.
And Matt came up with this idea to have this live, and now we have to continue to talk so we don't have any downtime.
And I think we talk about, Matt's right. We talk about Pitt Day of Giving. This is that day where we kind of rally around and get everyone involved. But Pitt Day of Giving works both ways. And I think Pitt Day of Giving is something that happens 365. Like John said, or like Matt had mentioned, how can the Alumni Association give back? How can we, if there's an affinity group, if your affinity group was Hawthorne 5, how do we bring back people from Hawthorne 5, or if it was WPJ, or if it was the Advocate? How do we help you connect with those alum from the past? Give today, give tomorrow, give till the day you die, and then afterwards. But it is important. The downer part is that all this stuff does take funds to continue to continue on with the work that we're trying. I mean, one of the important things we hadn't touched upon, and I'm going to hit it to each of you guys, the Alumni Scholarship, which is an important part of the Alumni Association, where each year a junior is awarded, several juniors are awarded in their particular fields to continue their education here at Pitt-Johnstown.
Nominated by their faculty.
Not
just selected it is nominated by the folks that know these students the best. When you talk about the history of this campus and bringing back those affinity groups and stuff, the stuff that you've learned, the stuff that we dig into, the history that President Eisenhower was here for the dedication. We had President Clinton on campus before. Vice President Dick Cheney was on campus before. I'm doing a project with the Air Force Association. Buzz Wagner, the first American ace in World War II, when it looked like we may not win World War II, was actually a 2-year engineering student here at UPJ before he signed up for the service. And that was actually working and developing parts of planes, and with the education he got here, it's so neat.
Oh, wow, that's on my mind. We've had a number of functions, and we were all at the old Advocate, or the yearbooks. And we're missing a few years. If there's anybody out there, we'll pay for the postage, but we'd like to get, what years were they?
I would say
74, 75, 76, 78.
Yeah. We've got a 73 and a 79.
We don't have them.
Yeah.
And we're trying to locate those because it's a lot of fun looking through those and just seeing and remember the names and see who people you went to school with. And it's just like your high school yearbook, you're looking through your university yearbook and all those things out there. One of the things that UPJ is trying to do, and I'm trying to push for, is bring the parade back. It hasn't been for a while. The alumni board wants to bring the parade back for homecoming. Make this a real homecoming that not just the students, but the alumni feel comfortable coming back and spending a weekend here at the campus and in the Johnstown area.
One of the other projects that I think gets kind of shuffled and ruffled is in Owens Library. We have an alumni room, which, when John talks about those yearbooks, we'd like to see those yearbooks as a permanent resting place in that alumni room. We're looking for...
we have one exhibit right now.
What's that?
In the alumni.
We have the desk of the Honorable Senator Wozniak, but if you have items, items that are out there that you may want to say, there's a better place for these to be archived. That alumni room, we'd love to permanently put them in that alumni room. Come back, because you're right. I mean, think about, a lot happens between 1970 and 1980 and 1990, and then we hit the thousands and just started to advance so rapidly that things that, those memories, those things, those yearbooks are one. You look through those yearbooks and you look at some of those 70s and I think, my goodness.
See, I never got to have a yearbook.
I think they stopped them when you graduated.
I showed up and they looked at me and said, "We are not taking your picture." So,
but if you have pictures, as you go through your attic and you start going through your stuff,
yeah,
you have pictures, send them in. We'll make a wall of fame.
Yeah.
And it's always nice for people to come and alumni have a place in the library that they can go. They can sit down. They can look through the yearbooks, communicate. They can message. And once again, I want to repeat, if you have any ideas what direction you'd like the alumni board to take, please send us, email us. We're more than happy to hear from different ideas because we want to get you engaged. But today, Day of Giving, we're really looking forward to beating Pitt as we did last year. Hour of Power, call that the Power Hour, and getting more commitment than actually main campus. And that's something to be said because they have tens of thousands of students, but we're up to something like 20,000 plus graduates now.
I think the last count we had, now I don't know if it's everyone still with us, but 22,000 alumni.
22,000.
From UPJ. So we have a lot of folks out there in every industry, in every field. It is just truly amazing. One of the things
I know we want to get in, I just didn't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned two things. I know that we're going to get into the next half hour, talk about student affairs, and this may come up later in the day, but I want to talk about some of the recent gifts that we received. One of which actually helped kick off Pitt Day Giving was Sean Iskin. Last Friday made a $50,000 donation to the wrestling program. That was his affinity group. HF Lens, about 2 weeks ago, made a $50,000 donation to start a scholarship for engineering. Again, it kind of does your heart good when you stand there and the person that's presenting the check to the university has one of these pins. they're an alumna, and
I broke out the
I'm gonna get you. Yeah, you
classic.
got a classic one there. But when they're that alum, it kind of always said that not that everything we've talked about today legitimizes or doesn't legitimize the university, but when an alum comes back and says, I want to be part of this, that's the university's product. And that's what really legitimizes when someone says, I want to come back and do a tour. I want to make a donation. I want to make a $25 donation, a $50 donation. I don't want to sound like public television, but $500 a year is $44 a month. And really, it's not going to break the bank, but it's that things that can happen. And again, when we talked about, before I jump off and we bring somebody else in to talk about student affairs, all those different areas to give. And then very popular, unrestricted. But on that website, you can go down, you can pick somewhere. If there's something on there, I'm going to go take John's lead that just doesn't tickle your fancy, dgj7@pitt.edu. Let's talk. Let's sit down. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's find out how we can get you to help out either for today or make Pitt Day of Giving every day after just the 21st of February. It's 21st, right? 21st.
I believe so. Yes, 21st of February.
And it's tough to pull it out of your pocket now. Consider a legacy. Upon your demise, hopefully everybody has. It's awful to say, but that's what a lot of community foundations do. If you're in a financial position, a $10,000 part of your inheritance that hopefully your children don't need, would go to the University of Pitt-Johnstown and make yourself a name up here that lasts forever.
It is truly. There's plenty of different ways that you can help us out and give. And one of the important things I think is important to remember too when it comes up when we talk about the upj.pitt.edu/give, where you can go and give some money here, is that money goes to those funds. That money stays on this campus. It helps student scholarship. It helps increase technology in classrooms and dorms or whatever area of interest you find. We don't have an administration flying around on a private jet here in Johnstown, like some of these major universities do, or all these big fancy. We spend the time to raise the money because it goes and helps these kids that you see here behind us.
Right. Speaking of helping the kids or the students here, there's been a trend in recent years where individuals have pledged to what they continue to call an emergency fund, or a fund that doesn't go to academics but goes to maybe book fund, or you think about it. I go back to the late '80s whenever I attended here and didn't have a car. If I got an internship interview in Pittsburgh, what if I have money for a train ticket or money for to rent a car or whatever? So there's also not outside of the realm of giving, but if someone wanted, and actually we're talking with a group that came out for a tour to maybe do something that in the humanities division where they would start a fund that would continue on, where it would be for books or it would be for something that a student needs outside of something that they got academically.
And I've seen that. I've seen that where you're like, oh, I have $100. What could that really do? That's a textbook in certain classes. That goes a long way to free that student up to have that extra $100 in their pocket so they can maybe get an extra
So
ticket.
if you're watching this, many hands make light work. $100 from 2,000 people adds up very quickly.
That's an economics degree.
Yeah, but, and once again, for the Alumni Association, so if you're watching this, send us, even if you don't have any ideas, send us your phone number and your email so that we can start regenerating the list that we create, because we're trying to find, and we know that a lot of people had EDU at the end of theirs, and it's not what their email is anymore.
Right. Along those lines, the Alumni Association Institutional Advancement has rejuvenated, taking a word from John, an e-newsletter, a monthly e-newsletter that kind of tells you what's going on in alum, what's going on campus. If you're not receiving that, the reason you're not receiving that is because we don't have a good email. Give me your good email, and we will get that out to you. It started about 4 months ago and consistently. I think one just went out last night. So you should be able to see kind of what's going on. There was some wrestling stuff in there. There was some Mountain Cat couples in there. There was, I think, just a chock full of stuff.
And that's when you talk about communication here while we're waiting for our 10:30 visitor.
I'm gonna go see if I can.
Okay, Ryan Gallimbo.
I'm gonna step out.
Okay. How you can get a hold of us? Again, it's that the Facebook page, university's Facebook page, the UPJ alumni Facebook page. You want to make sure you look for the current one. We've had a couple of older iterations that have died. Our LinkedIn page is incredibly popular and helps keep syncing people together. And in person, you can come to the IA office, meet with David, see one of us if we're around, or sit down with us. And that's located in Biddle Hall, or no, excuse me, Blackington Hall. You can actually park right in visitor parking in front there and walk right in. It's on the second floor, to the left of the steps.
Yep, we even have visitor parking there. It says you have to have a sticker or something. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Stop in and visit. You're always welcome back home. It's alma mater.
Very, very, very much. One of the neat things, John, we have is we can look in here and actually take a look at the leaderboard for the Pitt Day of Giving here. Let me interact with this here.
And as you can see, I might be the spokesman here, but Matt's the technological wizard that does all the computers and the emails and makes all this stuff happen. He's comfortable with it. I'm lucky I can do my cell phone.
So we're going to check in with the leaderboard as we make progress throughout the day. But we are lucky to be joined. Chris Stump, you're Vice President of
Student Affairs.
Student Affairs. You probably want to keep one ear kind of off so you can.
Yeah, you can't hear it.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay, I see.
Yeah, but that's yeah. So
Okay.
we can hear you. So Vice President of Student Affairs. What does that do? What does that mean?
Well, Student Affairs is kind of the overall stuff, for lack of a better term, of outside the classroom activities. Housing, dining, health and counseling services, student activities, athletics, student conduct. I work with campus police on things. I work with the conference office, kind of everything that happens for students outside the classroom.
Very neat. Lots of funds affect you here today on Pitt Day of Giving. Again, upj.pitt.edu/give. Give us some examples of cool stuff going on that the students really take part in. Let's start with like student activities.
Well, student activities, it goes runs the gamut from Greek life. We have 4 Greek organizations on campus, to intramurals, to leadership clubs, to our newest and one of our fastest growing clubs is our esports club. They actually have a table here today, and that's a fast growing activity. It's kind of it's gaming. It's competitive gaming, computer games, and that type of thing. So, and then we have our traditional concerts and coffee houses and banquets and dinners and student activities, like we do a couple scavenger hunts every year on campus. We do things like movie nights, outdoor movie nights, sled riding parties, just the things to keep the students engaged in the campus, and fun. Fun is the name of the game for this.
You often will hear or used to hear the idea that, well, there's nothing ever to do. Not the case anymore.
No. We have over around 80 student organizations right now. And many of our students are involved in one or more. Some of them have leadership positions in more than one. It's just a good campus because it's small enough that people know each other, can get involved, and bring other people into organizations. But it's also big enough we have a critical mass to have enough of these. We have to support 80 student organizations.
Wow.
So we have something for anybody.
Correct. If you're athletic, we have intramurals in athletics, and we have a really successful club sports teams, including hockey and rugby. Our hockey team is second in the region right now in the East. I forget, East Coast Hockey. It's not the East Coast Hockey League. It's the Collegiate College East Hockey League. They're 19-9, which is a very good hockey record. Our rugby team went to a national tournament last year. Got invited to a national tournament down in Louisiana. So, and then we have our cheerleaders, our competitive cheer squad. They finished 9th in the nation last year at their competition, and they head to their competition. They qualified for this year's national competition, and they're headed to Florida in April for that competition. So,
We even have a lacrosse team. Now,
the lacrosse team was a casualty of COVID.
Oh, was
It has not come back since COVID.
Alan
So,
Tice was always the lacrosse guy. And we're
yep,
like, okay.
yep.
That's pretty neat. You talked about a long list of things that go into your job and you oversee. One of the neatest things, I think, and John, you and I have been able to take advantage of it for our meetings and so forth here, is the our new food service. Could you talk a little bit, because there's so much out there now on campus,
Yes.
variety-wise and so forth. It's not the old standard Army meal chow lines.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Our food service provider now is Chartwell's, and they are the same company that does food service at the Oakland campus and the Greensburg campus also. And so we offer our traditional dining hall. It's been branded PJ's Dining Hall. And then we also have our tuck. The tuck shop's been around forever in different forms, but it's still the tuck shop. We have 4 different retail brands in there. We have our Pit Stop, which is kind of our Panera type offering, breakfast foods and baked goods and things like that. And we also have the Daily Grind up in Blackington Hall, which is our coffee shop on campus. And they serve all the specialty coffees like at a Starbucks, and they actually serve Starbucks coffee there.
Wow. I'm assuming you brought samples?
I brought nothing.
Oh.
I brought nothing.
Well, how long have you been up on the campus now?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I've been here a while, except I think for Dr. Snell over there. I might be one of the top 5 or 10 longest serving employees here. I started as a student in 1990, graduated in 94. I was hired.
What was your degree in?
Biology. I was going to be a physical therapist, and then I did the required volunteer time for physical therapy, and I learned I did not want to be a physical therapist. So it's good they had required that requirement. But I was very heavily involved as a student. I was a student government president my senior year here. So I was heavily involved in different activities and things. So I went to IUP for a graduate degree in student affairs and higher education, and I actually worked here as a graduate assistant while I went to IUP from 94 to 96, and then I was hired full-time in 96 in the conference office, and I've been here, so year number 33 in a row in different capacities. So
Wow.
Biology. Endoplasmic reticulum.
Yes.
I remember it.
Uh-huh.
Something to do with the Golgi bodies. But I can't
Yes.
really
Uh-huh.
remember that. Yeah.
I steered clear of biology. I went through the astronomy side of things, and actually got to teach astronomy for a while. One of the neat things that I think that this campus brings is that sense of community, and that goes along, and we've talked about that during our intro half hour, and that goes a long way to what student life and your organizations and your clubs and your folks do. That's certainly a priority for them. How many folks do you have focusing on working for you, and put these things together? Because it's not just you have a great team of people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have in different aspects of programming and things like that. We have our student activities and engagement office is comprised of a director and a program manager, and they have a squadron of student workers who do and implement a lot of programs and things. So that's kind of our main program offering. And then in the other area that does a lot of programming is a residence life office, which is part of the housing and dining and residence life office, and they do programming in the residence halls for the students of those residence halls to develop community. And there's a special focus on the first year halls, to get them included in the campus, to get them engaged, so that they stay at UPJ and they're happy and they succeed, both academically and growth, maturity and things like that. So, because when we get the 18-year-olds, there's especially after COVID, there's a challenge in getting them engaged, because they spent almost 2 years of their lives online, doing almost everything online. So
Yeah, it's almost a shame of all that generation. They lost 2 years of their college experience.
and their high school experience too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you're the right person to ask, Chris, but I know that PJ does a lot of stuff down in the city and other places. Would that be the bailiwick of the student affairs?
Yes, we our Office of Equity and Community Engagement, headed by Sherry Ray, she works with the underrepresented campus populations on developing programs to make them feel at home here in Johnstown and our campus. And then she also works in the community, like she works with the Flood City Youth Fitness Academy on programming to take our students down there to act as tutors for their after-school programming down there. She works a lot with the like the NAACP operations in the organization in town. We connect our Black Action Society with them as for their activities and things. So we do work a lot in the city. We also, one of the big things about our student activities is they have a give back requirement, a service requirement for each organization. And our Greek organizations have that required as part of their national charter, of course, but then we require that of all of our student organizations, that they have to do some sort of service to either the campus community or the broader community.
With Pitt Day of Giving here, upj.pitt.edu/give. I'm gonna hear that in my sleep at night. I'm gonna have nightmares about it.
Well, you have to write down so I could say that.
Yeah. It's right here on the screen.
The screen's in front of you.
That's true.
Check it, guys. Use the guru.
People can select as an area of focus student activities fund. What does that go to when that money comes in?
Well, we try to use it to supplement our student activities. Is funded by our student activities fund. So each student pays a semesterly fee of, I believe it's $90 right now. That goes towards that is overseen by the Student Government Association. So they divvy up that money for each club or organization, based upon their activities and their needs and things. So, and there's never enough. We have all these student organizations that want to do great things for their organizations, for their campus, for the student body, but there's just typically not enough money, and it's hard to get that money on the backs of students, because college is expensive. We know that, and that's why this is a thing, to help with the expensive college. But this out of the curriculum activities is it's vital to their development of the students as a whole person. If you just go to class, stay in your dorm room, or stay at home, and just come, you don't get a whole lot of college experience. You get the education. We have a great education here, of course, but you don't get the experience. You don't get the engagement. You don't make the connections that you would make if you were involved. So this fund helps supplement that student activities fee. So the student groups don't have to fundraise as much. All student organizations they do fundraisers such as bake sales and pie sales and T-shirts and things, all the traditional type. But it's a constant. The less they have to fundraise, the more they can be engaging in their activities. So, other things we've used it for, like we've a couple years ago, out of our donated funds, we bought 2 pool tables for our game room upstairs, and they're used constantly. And that sounds simple, but pool tables are expensive, and ping pong tables are expensive. And we're looking at there seems to be a rise in interest in music and piano playing and that type of thing. So we're looking at using some donated funds to buy a piano for the campus. So, and they're not cheap either, So
you can go on Marketplace and you can get a baby grand for free if you can just get the warm body.
Yes.
Won't be me.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, Chris, the different organizations, because I can remember being 18, but it's a great maturing time from 18 to 22.
Oh, absolutely.
You're going from being a young person protected by your mom and dad and string of your school to being relatively independent, and socialization of different people, different cultures, away from home. It's important in those engagements.
Yes.
Now, people don't think about college as just classroom, but it's much larger and wider than that. And that's where the student affairs comes into be, because
Yep.
now you can pick your day, and you don't have to stay there. It's like a door you can open up. Employment and
Right.
career.
Exactly. One of the things that if I can touch on this real quick,
Please do.
That student activities and student engagement does is we support the clubs and organizations that are directly tied to majors. And I'm thinking about engineering right now. We have four competition engineering groups that compete in. One is our concrete canoe. That's kind of probably our most widely known. They compete almost. They almost always win the regionals, and then they get to go to the national competition.
And for those who don't know, they actually build a canoe out of
canoe and race a canoe made out of concrete. And the competition is not just the racing; it's about the construction and the process to build a concrete canoe. And a concrete canoe, it's exactly what it is. It's a canoe made out of concrete. It weighs a lot, and to transport it is very expensive. So that the support of this fund helps offset that. Like last year, to go to the national competition, the transportation cost to get that canoe there was $12,000.
Is that right?
Yes. So and that's a lot on the backs of students. It really is.
It's not a bake sale.
It's not. No. That's quite a bake sale to raise that amount of money. So, and then we have our steel bridge construction team and the Baja. And the Baja, they build a Baja vehicle and they race it. And the race is part of the competition, but also the construction, the way that it was built, and the way that the team explains to the judges how it was built is just as important as the race part. And another one. This is a new one. Yeah.
Building your own Baja.
Yeah, There's if you'd ever interested, down near the facilities building, they have their own little machine shop down there that they build their car in. And then Chem-E, Chemical Engineering Club, they race these different cars and things, and it's all powered by chemical reaction. It's not, and you think like gasoline. It's not gasoline. It's some sort of the way, I don't know how they do it, but they race these cars based on chemical reaction, and they won. They came in 19th, and that doesn't sound that impressive until you realize there were 400 teams competing last year in a national competition. So, and that's they have to go to the competition, and if you bought a plane ticket, that's expensive too. So. Their car is small. It's not much to ship their car, but
It's not a big car.
no, it's a little car. Yes.
And you're solving our energy problem.
There's a lot of different things here. One of the things that I think, kind of looping back to something you talked about a little earlier, that's kind of always special to me when I get to see this on the news or in the paper, is when you see our students out there in the community doing stuff. Our Habitat for Humanity work and that sort of thing. That's a big part of this too.
Yes.
That it ties people to the city, to the region that we all live in.
Yes. Our service groups are quite active. You mentioned Habitat. They have a trip for spring break. They're going to, with other Habitat groups from around the country, going to a build in New Mexico maybe, but they also work here locally in buildings, and throughout the year this is their special trip, and they fundraise to go on this trip to go serve people. So it's an interesting dynamic. They're using their own time and money, and they often pay their own money to go on these trips, supplement. We give them some, of course, but they fundraise to go. They go and they do service in a different part of the world with other Habitat chapters from around the country. So it's like you said when you said a few minutes ago. They're exposed to different things than they were that they might see in Western Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania overall. So.
And sometimes that's more important than the education itself. Understand that the big place, a lot of different opinions, it's all legit. It's different than anybody else.
Right. Exactly.
I think it's that, and that certainly does help, especially if you've been in a little smaller isolated area, you get that experience of meeting somebody new from somebody else, someplace else. And even that's someplace else in the country. I remember working in the ID center as a student, and a young lady was so excited about coming in as a student. Said, "I've never seen snow, and I'm kind of afraid of it. Is it something?" It's like, well, we're in Western Pennsylvania, and she loved it. She loved it. She ended up really loving it. Now I'm here. The What do you see for the future of these type of organizations? Are they continuing to expand? There's a lot of energy.
Well, I see expansion and changes. Like the esports is, a 3 year that kind of started out of nowhere 3 years ago. Competitive esports, and I grew up playing Frogger and that type of thing. So I never in a million years would have thought competitive gaming would be a thing, but it's huge right now. And we've just dedicated a brand new facility a couple weeks ago upstairs in the student union building here. And we have, I think the club has 50 members already.
Wow.
And it was started last year, and now they're starting to do the actual competitive gaming. So I see those sorts of clubs. I see the groups on their majors, especially engineering, continue on. But we have the math club does some cool stuff. Not all associated with math, but that's their club,
Are we doing any rock'em sock'em robot type things I see on television? How are they build these crap? Robots and fight each other and
I don't know that we've ever built them to fight each other, but we've done there is a robotics club. There's a club called Mountain Cat Racing, and they race airplanes, remote control airplanes. They race remote control cars, and they spend a lot of time and money and effort to get really good at that. And it's just that's what they like to do. So, and it's based on it's mostly science majors and things like that, but it's interesting the way. And I forgot our dance ensemble. We have our artistic clubs too, and we have a very active dance ensemble. They had their performance a couple weeks ago, and then we also have this weekend is our theater club is doing their performance. What is it called? The Trail to Oregon. It's like a loosely connected to the old Oregon Trail video game, but it's a play that they're doing. So we have arts and sciences.
Do any of us have dysentery?
I hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not. I hope not. But we have.
That's a classic.
It's an interesting mix of because you have the hard science majors who are in dance ensemble, or the hard science majors who are in the theater club, that type of thing. So it's interesting that you're not solely focused on I'm here to do engineering, or I'm here to do biology to get to medical school. I'm here to do biology to get to medical school, but I'm also in the dance ensemble because I like to do that. So
you were Delta Chi brother.
Still am.
Still am.
Still is, yes.
And that was the same sort of thing. We did the same thing in my club. We were a geography club. The idea that you have different people coming in and saying, I'm interested in this, but I don't necessarily want to get a major in it, but I want to...
And I'll tell you the other piece of it, because I commuted my 4 years, and being a fraternity or those other social clubs, that helps integrate you with the university experience too, because I worked those 4 years, and anybody remembers Penn Traffic, Foster Brothers, I sold leisure suits at Standard Sportswear down at the old Richland Mall. But I was always either working, going to class, and then that social engagement made you part of the university. That's important, particularly because we have a school, and that helps bring people become part of it too. Instead of turning around and going home, they've got other functions on the campus besides classes.
One of the things, and our commuter students pay the student activity fee as well, so we want to get them heavily involved. And one of the things that really benefits them, and this is a year-round, is that our students have free greens fees at the Highlands at North Fork Golf Course.
Right?
So they can go anytime and golf for free. They have to pay for their own cart if they want to do that, but the greens fees are free, and that's all paid out of student activity
fee. Taking classes, John. Let's go back.
It sounds like a plan to me.
I think we have our first student.
First I have to take lessons.
We have our first student. Come on in. We want to share a mic here with John.
I'll be back in a moment. You can sit right down here.
Thank you so much.
Who do we have here?
My name is Ankita Shurigar.
And you certainly seem like you're came prepared to talk about something here. What do we have?
So I'm a part of the UPJ Martial Arts Club, and so far we've been meeting twice a week in the Welding Center, and it's been really interesting. You know, not a lot of people have been joining those, so that's what we've been trying to promote the club,
Okay.
and yeah, we have a lot of fun learning new concepts and everything.
What does that cover? When you say Martial Arts Club,
Yes.
there's I know it's a wide variety of different in theater I'd call them genres, but
Right.
disciplines is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, so we are actually so we do Tang Sudo, karate, and which is a little different than I know Taekwondo and everything. It's a lot more disciplined. We focus on like breathing, and it's just we do a lot of different things such as form, sparring, and we even do weapons as we have on our table. Actually, we've been showing people how to play with them and everything. So defense is also really really important with our art. So yeah, that's basically it.
How long have you been doing Tang Sudo?
So actually, I've been in a different school in Monroeville. I was
Okay.
actually practicing with Master Kim, and I've been practicing with him since I was in 7th grade all the way till up until the pandemic. So it's been quite a few years, around like I think 7 years I've been practicing.
What belt are
and
you right now?
I am a black belt with I should have a stripe right
One,
here.
one stripe, first degree, right?
First degree, yes
Okay,
sir.
great. Good,
So-
good. And where are you from?
I'm from Monroeville actually.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
I don't know how to read here on Pitt Day of Giving that our first student guest is somebody that I'm actually genuinely afraid of.
Yes. She seems very nice though. So.
She's very nice. When do you meet? When do you meet?
So we meet in the Wellness Center, which is the UPJ gym, and we meet in the dance room, which is towards the back of the gym, and we meet every Monday at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. That's what we've been used to as of now. So as long as we get more members, we can even adjust to different timings, and yeah, we're really flexible. We just no experience required. Actually, we're
So if someone's interested, they can stop by, or
Yeah.
or if they
Anytime,
don't have
yeah.
those times quite to work. Is there a better way to get a hold of somebody in your organization? Go through the student life office, or
Yeah, well, I'm actually the president of the club, so if they have any questions about it, they can ask me. We also have an advisor. His name is Master Bao, and he actually was with, was taught from Master Kim, so he was from the same organization as I was. So if they have any questions as to what the club is about, they can reach me or Master Bao about anything. Yeah.
well, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us here today and talking a little bit about your organization. So when you go to upj.pitt.edu/give and talk about giving to that student life activity funds, you're helping students do these sorts of really cool things. So we hope you come out today, and we wish you well, and then the continued growth in your organization. Chris, again, thank you
No
for
problem.
joining
Thank you.
us. And
I really enjoyed it. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
This
I
is
enjoyed
great.
this interview. Thank you so much.
great,
guys.
fantastic.
All right. All right. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thanks, folks. While we're take a quick look here at the leaderboard.
And I'll give these seats up as these people come in. We got the coach coming in next.
We're going to take a quick look here at the leaderboard. And I'm going to go here to the interact. So we're taking a peek here and seeing who's winning what. The school colleges. These are broken down by number of donors and for special. You can see here we're looking to take a peek. Greensburg. Folks, we're number 11.
11.
That's That's it. We got to get some folks out there starting to donate, but it's certainly starting to pick up. We have plenty of times here, plenty of time for you to make a donation and support our organization and everything that goes here along with it. So
Where do you tune in on to get that?
upj.pitt.edu/give.
Yeah, give a little bit. It won't hurt. You won't even know it. Just think, it's a couple of beers, a dinner out. Look at it that way. And you're helping the next generation of students. They're going to be the next generation in our society. So we want to have a quality of education here at UPJ. And then somebody can replace Matt and I someday as the alumni presidents and do the same thing for another generation.
Please, somebody replace us at this point.
And who do we have next, Matthew?
We're coming up on our 11 o'clock hour. Actually, we're into our 11 o'clock hour, where we're going to have athletics join us, and we're going to talk about.
We got Coach Pecora coming in.
I believe Coach is here, and I believe Abby Gerhardt is here as well to talk about some athletics.
And I'll tell you what, I'll give my seat up for either Abby or Pat, because there's only 3 seats here.
So what we're going to do is we have a brief interlude here of a video, and then so we're going to take about 5 minutes from running that for Pitt Day of Giving, and then we'll be back with our guests.
Okay.
Welcome to Pitt-Johnstown. What a great choice. The campus is beautiful.
Plenty of the usual and unusual activities.
We are Mountain Cat proud.
Which means you can be yourself.
And bridge your education to the real world.
그럼 준비하라. Get ready. Get involved.
Make a difference.
Embrace and enjoy your world.
We offer a variety of high-quality academic programs and majors to help students prepare for career and professional success in the real world. Our excellent faculty are recognized and published experts in their disciplines, but they share a passion for teaching that's really evident in our classrooms. Students have the opportunity to interact with their faculty not only in the typical small classroom setting, but also in a variety of mentored, up-close and personal learning experiences, such as our undergraduate research program. It's really no wonder we're so proud of what we do here at Pitt-Johnstown.
What about Abby? Where's her? You want this one? I'll take that. I don't need these. This is very uncomfortable.
We're back to Pitt Day of Giving 2023 as we reach the 11 o'clock hour here. We're going to talk about athletics for a little bit. I'm joined by national champion several times over, Coach Pat Pecora, and Abby Gerhardt. Abby, what's your official title?
My official title is Associate Athletic Director.
So what does that entail?
A little bit of everything. Mostly compliance. That's the main part of my job. But then we work together kind of as a good team, and we do basically sport oversight. I do sport oversight for all 15 sports, so I'm making sure I'm there. And I also tutor our student athletes. So I do a little bit of everything. I was actually a former educator, so I'm used to just working with student athletes and wanting them to succeed academically. So I'm monitoring their eligibility and their student athletic success in the classroom, and then obviously supporting them on their fields and courts and mats as well, and track.
Great. Coach, you're athletic director, but you're probably most well known for our wrestling program. I want to talk a little bit about before we get into the history of that and some of the donation opportunities here for Pitt Day of Giving. What has this season been like? What's going on here with our wrestling team?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right now, we just finished what we would call the dual meet season, and we finished undefeated. We won the conference championship, and this weekend we head to regionals. So we had a very, very good year. Couldn't have had a better year so far, and now it's postseason time, and regionals are coming up, and they'll take the top 3 guys in each weight class at regionals will proceed to nationals, and they're in Cedar Falls, Iowa. But this weekend we're going to East Stroudsburg, and to see how we do in our region. But we had a great, like I said, we had a great dual meet season. We were 15-0, won the PSAC championship dual meet. And so we're chugging along. So
They've only done it the last 7 years in a row, so
yeah.
very successful wrestling program, to say the least. So all 47 years that you've been there, you've had an All-American. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, since 1979.
47 years.
Yes.
47 years. Wow. You'd probably be a little comfortable to get 1 year kind of off.
Do I need these at all?
That's your microphone. Or you can switch with Abby. Yeah, there you go. So, one of the things that athletics brings, and it's your wrestlers, and I'm always surprised when actually we just had some work done at the house, and the gentleman that came through to measure and give us a quote for some windows was, oh, you have Pitt stuff hanging. I wrestled it. Oh, yeah. What does that mean? You're not just collecting trophies. You're building character, relationships.
Well, what it's all about relationships, and that's what life's all about, and that's what coaching's all about, and that's what athletics is all about. I think that overall during the years, that's what happens. You develop relationships with your wrestlers, then relationships with. Now that I'm not the athletic director, you're trying to develop relationships with all the athletes. And so I think when you come to school here, you're an athlete. I think there's a special kind of bond that you have with the university. I think, because I think the athletics part of it, it makes it a University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown experience. Mm-hmm. It's not just the University of Pittsburgh, So when athletes graduate from here, when someone asks them where they graduated from, they say Pitt-Johnstown. Because it's very important to them because they identify with their sport here at the university. So, and that's why I think athletics is different in a way because I think athletes go through here with a special relationship with their coaches and with their teammates and with other athletes that kind of make it a special experience, even more personalized, you know. So I think that's what makes athletics special. It's just relationships that are involved because of, you know, everybody that's been in athletics. There's it's a camaraderie that, you know, you're going through the highs together, the lows together. You're building each other up and carrying each other. You're caring about each other. So it really forms a bond that you're talking about when someone, when you run into someone and say, hey, I wrestled at Pitt-Johnstown. I wrestled for Coach McClure. I played basketball with Pitt-Johnstown. I played for Coach Gavin. There was something special in that. And I think all of our athletes that graduate from Pitt-Johnstown have
That special connection.
that special connection.
We focused certainly because it's, with everything going on, it's certainly noteworthy at this moment. Our wrestling team, are just amazing wrestling team, but we have a lot of athletic sports
Yes.
that people can participate in.
Yeah.
What's that list like?
We have a long list of sports. We have, what, 15?
Yeah, we have 15 sports. Yep.
And so, right now, the winter season, our two basketball teams, our men's basketball teams, having a great season under Coach Bob Rukavina. Coach Rukavina has been there 30-some years.
Yeah.
I think himself has done a great job. But they're definitely going to make the playoffs in the PSAC, and they also have the chance to make the playoffs in the NCAA berth, our men's basketball team. So they have a chance to be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. Our women's basketball team is definitely going to be, in the conference playoffs, and they really had a great season. And I'll let Abby tell you more about the other sports that we have that people don't hear about as often, but they're just as involved.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with how like NCAA sports work, we're part of the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference in Division II, which is probably the most competitive conference across the board when it comes to all the sports. You know, there's a couple other good conferences, but I'd say across the board, the PSAC is definitely the most competitive. So our athletes are competing at a really high level. So it's a big deal, you know, when our teams are being successful and making it to playoffs. Like, it's a very competitive conference. So we're very, very proud of our teams that have the opportunity to compete in the playoffs and definitely can be able to compete in the PSAC. But the other sports that we have volleyball, we have men's golf, we have indoor-outdoor track for both men and women, and then we also have men and women's cross country. We have baseball and softball, and I don't think I'm missing anything else. But yeah, so we have 15 sports total, and it's a lot. I mean, it's hard enough to get a Pitt degree, but to also manage. And you know what people don't realize, our sports are a year-round commitment. You know, you have your playing season, but you also have the non-championship segment. So volleyball plays in the fall, but they also play in the spring. It's just they're not competing for a conference championship, but they still have practices and stuff to attend to. You know, our winter sports, they seem to be going, it just seems like it takes up most of the school year, and you know, track, it's a year-round commitment for sure. So I forgot about men's and women's soccer. How could I forget about that? My goodness. So we have men's and women's soccer program too. So it's just amazing what our student athletes do. A lot of commitment. I actually was a former volleyball student athlete here and love my time here, and it's a lot what Coach said. This place is about relationships. This place is about family, and I truly feel that when I'm here. I love and care about these student athletes like they're my own children, and I know Coach feels the same way, and that's how our department is. You know, we're a family. We work together. You know, we got each other's back, so it's a great place. It's a great atmosphere, and it's a big reason why you should invest.
Let's talk about Pitt Day of Giving. upj.pitt.edu/give, where you can go. Athletics is a fund that is available to folks, the General Athletics Fund. Where does that money go to? What do you do with that?
I always say that there's three important aspects of athletics in terms of scholarships, facilities, and staff. So I think those are the three pillars of an athletic department. You know, so scholarships are there to help you recruit and retain athletes of a high caliber, and So they're very important. Have scholarship money, and so then facilities is unbelievable. And the way facilities are nowadays, it's very, very tough, like in our conference, to keep up with a lot of the other schools with facilities. And like right now, we're looking at having a turf field. It would be something that our softball, baseball, men's soccer, women's soccer. They don't. We do not have turf fields on campus for them. It's very difficult. Our baseball and softball teams have to do their games off campus. Luckily, we have the Point Stadium available, which is a blessing. Our softball team has to go basically to a low league field. And with the weather, it's very difficult to have men's and women's soccer games on regular grass. There are so many times you need turf. And again, we're fortunate to have Richland right across the street that actually use theirs at times. So we have a great relationship with them. But definitely facilities. I mean, those are some major things there, facilities-wise. And then, you're talking about just facilities with locker rooms and bleachers and, scoreboards. There's so much with facilities. And then the last is staff. And staffing is very, very important. Dr. Spector just got us, for the first time, we have some full-time assistants in 3 sports and another in a 4th. So that was the first, and that was very, very important.
It's the first time we have full-time head coaches in almost every single sport, too,
Exactly. So
except for golf, yeah.
And that's difficult
Yeah.
to have. And so it's,
and that's rare, too. I don't mean to interrupt. Like, our
No, go
conference,
ahead.
everybody has full-time staffing across the board, from not just head coaches, but their assistant coaches. They have multiple assistant coaches. So I think it's truly amazing what our coaches are able to do. I mean, look, you've got an athletic director and a coach, a very successful coach. That's, like, unheard of. In fact, you can't even do that anymore. You're not really technically an administrator, and a coach is not something that the NCAA recommends because it's so difficult to do. But you got the goat here.
You get the
So
right
yeah, you got
guy.
the goat. You get the right guy, but it's very difficult to manage. And like Coach was saying, like, even our track too. Our track team we can't ever have home games on campus, home meets with our track team. Their track actually was put in by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is that correct? The Steelers used to, add a little fun fact, the Steelers used to practice on our campus, so that's why we have a track. But our track athletes, it's one of our biggest sport, and they don't have a place to compete at home. So I couldn't imagine just like not having a home field. And that's, our soccer, softball, baseball teams, all of our outdoor sports don't really have a home on our campus, and
And
that's,
you lose the students.
Yeah.
They can't come down from their dorms
right,
and come
yeah.
out of a class.
You lose
and-
that sense of community and pride. And like Coach was talking about, scholarships make us competitive, but what a lot of people don't realize is our athletes are not on full rides. They're not even close to that, And so we're bringing here investing in athletics is investing in enrollment for the campus. Our coaches do a great job of recruiting students. They bring them on campus. So you're investing in enrollment when you do that, because we're giving little bit of money, to get them here for athletics. So that's why it's really, really important to invest in athletics. And I too think that it benefits the community when our facilities are, upgraded and updated. That's something that the Johnstown community can benefit as well. And I think if you trust us to steward your giving, we can do that. Have summer camps, have youth camps, and that not only benefits our campus, but it benefits obviously the student athletes, and it benefits the Johnstown community, the businesses, the hotels, the restaurants. When we hosted regionals, that's amazing for the Johnstown community. The hotel rooms are booked out, the restaurants are booked out. So I think it's a much bigger piece than just investing in sports. It's investing in the Johnstown community. It's investing in a family atmosphere, and that's what we want to create here.
I think it's one of the things that sometimes gets, I don't want to say lost in the shuffle, but people tend to think athletics, and I get to see it from the faculty side. I was very lucky to get to teach here, actually sit in Bill Corey's old chair. And some of the best students I have are the student athletes. They're the ones that are so quick to do the assignments, do the work, to keep up, to let me know what's going on. That it truly is. They're not just here to play basketball, or baseball
Right.
or wrestle. They're learning.
Yeah.
And that's what we've always said, that athletics is like the front porch to the house. Athletics is the front porch to the university. That's what everybody sees at first, because of sports being in the newspaper and on TV. And so athletics is a very important aspect of every university, because it's the front porch of the house. It's what people are seeing when they first drive by, when they first come to the university, because that's where the TV and the newspaper and those kind of things, the publicity type of thing. And so we're very, very proud of our athletes academically as well. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
amazed.
They graduate at higher rates than the regular student population. That's across the NCAA board, but it's for our campus as well. And I gotta say, like, anytime we get a transfer student athlete, they're like, man, I gotta work here, and that's what we want. We want them to get a degree, something that they are prepared for in the real world. Like I mentioned, I was a former educator, and I felt over prepared when I went into the classroom. Like, there's actually have to do like less. Like I felt like I knew what I was doing so much. So, and then even just being able to work, in the environment under, Coach McCora and the former assistant athletic director that was here, I just felt so prepared. This place prepares you, and you're getting a great degree, a great education, and a great experience overall. So
It was funny just at the last home basketball games, but it was senior night for the men and women's basketball team. That just there were people, athletes, graduating in multiple majors, not just one.
three. Three.
Wow.
Yeah.
Graduating in 3 majors.
Yeah.
One of them. And I'm standing there, and as they're introducing them, they're graduating in engineering plus a degree, business plus a degree.
With 3.99 GPAs.
It's amazing.
Like, it's
I
our basketball team. Yeah.
And so that's just a microcosm of our athletic program. Students are here, no doubt. Student athletes, first for academics, and second for athletics. And that's no problem. They love it. We love it that way. We also have a very high level of athletics. Our kids are competing for championships, conference level, on regional level, and on the national level. And really, like Abby said earlier, I find it amazing what we've accomplished over the years. Athletics,
With the little resources that we have.
The resources we have, and in those 3 areas, like I said, staff, facilities, and scholarship. It's amazing what our sports and what our coaches and what our athletes are able to do. So there's no doubt that we can use more. There's no doubt about it. We want to keep attracting the best athletes. We want to keep competing for conference championships, regional championships, for national championships, for our athletes to be going to be Americans and all conference, and doing that with an engineering degree or a business degree, computer science degree, whatever they're
Nursing, education,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's tough here academically. But our athletes know, hey, academics come first, and on that.
Yeah.
Every time they, if you've got a class and we have practice, you go to class. It's that simple. And so there's definitely student athlete awareness on all levels. So we're just fortunate. I love where I'm working. Abby's the same way. We love the University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown, and we love Pitt-Johnstown athletics. It's my baby.
Yeah.
Been here 47 years, and I wouldn't want to be in anywhere else.
Yeah, we've got sweat equity in it, being a former student athlete, you being here, there's sweat equity in it, and you invest a lot of time. It's a lifestyle. It really is. It doesn't feel like a job. It feels like it's just part of your life because we care about it, and we're invested in it, and that's why, I think our programs are successful. But just you might think, why should we invest in a turf facility? That's not important. Well, because it is enrollment, because it helps the Johnstown community, because it helps our student athletes who are working so hard to represent us well. We have 15 sports, and we have 2 locker rooms, a men's and a women's locker room. It's so much. We've got we're about almost 20% of the campus. So investing in athletics is really important. It could be a larger part of campus, if we get our facilities updated. And I just can't speak highly enough enough about how much we care about it and just trusting us to steward and your money and facilitate something great for this campus and the Johnstown community.
And there's a lot of ways that people could get behind. I would talk for a couple minutes about a couple. When you talk about having these great basketball games, these wrestling matches, they're open to the public.
Mm-hmm. Oh
People
yeah.
could come up here and watch an amazing basketball game.
Yeah, we have youth teams coming and playing at halftime and meeting their teams. It's
It's very, very neat. So again, upj.pitt.edu/give for Day of Giving. Athletics is a priority fund, and it is very critical that we get that support because it does really it does a lot more than what people would think. Any parting thoughts while we before we move on to the golf simulator?
I guess it's like I said before. Like I said, just trusting us to steward your money, and like I said, it's just something really special that we have here, and we are just growing and growing, and it's amazing what we're doing with the resources that we have. We have such amazing coaches and staff, and again, can't speak highly enough of our student athletes. So, just really love this place. I love this university. I love my education that I got here. I love my experience as a student athlete. So coming from someone who came here who has the sweat equity in the program, please give to athletics and trust us. Like I said, it's a much bigger picture than just playing a sport. There's so much more to it. You're creating a family culture and environment that people hold on to, and something that's going to benefit the whole community, not just Pitt-Johnstown.
I think that's the best point, is that investing in athletics, you're investing in human beings. You're investing in students and student athletes, and it's an investment that grows and grows and grows, because these young men and women, they graduate from here and they move on, and they have families, and they come back and with their families and and have jobs and stuff, and that's what makes me the most proud when I see our athletes come back and they'll come back and they'll be with their wife and their children and talking to their kids. Hey, yeah, your mom played volleyball here and your dad played basketball here, and the relationships that go on forever. You'll see athletes in each other's weddings, and they're still spending a lot of time together 20 years after they're graduating. So,
and the coaches are invited to the weddings. It's a family.
It's a special bond that you have in athletics that you don't have in any other aspect of the university, because it's just special. So giving to athletics is it's something that grows, and it's humanized, and it's there, and it's going to get better and better and better. I think that you can't make a better investment than investing in people. That's what investing in relationships. That's what life's all about, relationships. So can't go wrong.
And that's where, and I think, and I've been stressing this with all our points today, that's where this money goes.
Mm-hmm.
The people, the students,
Yep.
the things that you talked about. Because you don't have a team playing.
Yep.
Right? No team playing. None of that fancy stuff. This is...
We do it all without all the bells and whistles.
Yes, that's for sure.
Because that money goes to those students.
Yep, exactly.
Those athletes.
Yep.
Yes, it goes to athletes in scholarship form. It goes to athletes in terms of facilities. It goes to athletes in terms of staffing.
Support.
When someone could have not only a head coach but an assistant coach, and you have 40, 50 athletes, they need more one coach. And so, and it's nice, like Abby's saying, you have facilities. When we have regional tournaments here, not only benefits the university, every motel's filled up, restaurants getting business. It overflows into the community. So an investment in athletics and Pitt-Johnstown athletics, you're investing in Johnstown. Just look at what the school, in terms of its relationship with the city of Johnstown, and in employment, things like that. So athletics is a major part of that.
Yeah. Great. Abby, Coach, thank you for joining us here today on our live stream. And again, upj.pitt.edu/give where you can go and support our athletic fund and our great student athletes
Yeah.
and these folks who make it happen.
Yeah, thanks so much. We appreciate it. We encourage you to reach out if you have any questions for us. Our emails are on the website, and you can find us, Abby Gerhart and Pat Pecora.
Great.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Well, everybody, we're rocking and rolling here on Pitt Day of Giving 2023. We have got to talk about our golf simulator coming up here in a little bit.
Somebody sing the alma mater, but they had to go to
Yeah.
class.
PJ, why don't you sit down here and I'll ask you some yes or no questions. Because I don't think you want to put a headset on.
Is it warm inside that?
You loving Pitt Day of Giving? You got Mountain Cat Pride? Great. Fantastic. Do you feel the excitement here in the room here today as we bring things together here? That's a big part of you, right? You bring, it wouldn't happen without you.
You get paid to do this? Oh, you don't know. I think he's volunteering. I think it's somebody's brother. Well, you look good. All right.
Yeah, looking good. You've been taking
Take care of yourself.
taking time in that wellness center we have down. Oh, a lot of cleaning.
Grooming. Yeah, a lot of
grooming. That makes a lot of sense here. You finding a lot of cool stuff to do here. Nice. We have the putting green set up behind us here. Have you taken some shots? Yeah, you're pretty decent. A little bit of foot wedge every so often.
Now, do you find yourself having to go to all the different sports events? And as you are a mascot, can you do those one-arm push-ups? Yeah.
Nah.
That's a no, right? It's not fit. We're not fitting on live TV here.
My guess is you could probably do them better than either of us, though.
How many people know who you are? That you do this, or keep it a secret?
Good. Good.
I had a friend of mine. He was Winnie the Pooh back in the day, but he never told anybody. I did not find it out until he died. Something, and usually just I found out Winnie the Pooh was back when where the Walmart's out now used to be Richard Mall, and Winnie the Pooh was their mascot, and he was. I worked in there, and I couldn't figure out why this guy was always like touching me. A friend of mine was Winnie the Pooh, but he would never tell anybody that he was hired to walk around and do that.
So you had fun the rest of the day, PJ? Well, we're going to let you go and then rival up some crowd, get them down here, and thanks for joining us here on the live stream on Pitt Day of Giving.
Okay, wave to everybody. There you go. All right. See you now. Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Hi. Take a seat. Yep. Why don't you throw the headset on? Yeah. You just put one, kind of like one in so you can hear.
Yeah. Put a speaker.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Who do we have here?
How's it going? I'm Coach Straber with the men's golf team here at Pitt-Johnstown.
Men's golf team.
Yep.
John and I golf. Well, John hit me with a golf ball once.
We pay to play, but I'm going to take lessons this year. And I found out something with this activities fee that people pay. If they want to go down to Richland Greens, they actually get to play golf for free. Now, you have to rent your own cart if you want to do that, but that's still a nice gift for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Students are young; they can walk.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good exercise. Good to get outside, kind of clear your head a little bit, and kind of take a break from student activities, school, the pressures of schoolwork, and all those types of things.
What does the golf team do? What is it? What the?
Yeah.
Well, I know they golf. No, they curl. But what's that season like? It's we're used to seeing the basketball season.
Yeah, golf season is kind of rare in the fact that we compete during the fall and the spring semester. Fall is typically like our championship season for the conference. So typically what we'll do is start the students back at the end of August, kind of get ready for our preseason camp, and then we basically hit the road running right from the get-go. So September and October, we typically play in like 4 or 5 invitational tournaments around the boundary states: New York, Ohio, Maryland, West Virginia. Just bouncing around probably within like a 6-hour radius, and then we have those invitationals, and that leads to the PSAC championships at the end of the fall. It's typically centrally located out in like Harrisburg area, so we've recently signed a contract to play out at Iron Valley Golf Club in Lebanon, PA. So that kind of concludes our fall season, and then basically from then to this upcoming springtime, we spend a lot of times doing workouts, trying to raise money for our indoor facilities here. That's obviously a big thing, and being in the Northeast, everyone's aware that Pennsylvania tends to get some rough weather during the winter time. We're not really able to get outside much, starting end of November. December's usually we're indoors. January and February for the most part. I mean, obviously the weather that we've received recently is pretty rare for Pennsylvania, but generally speaking, we're stuck indoors for 3 months of the season trying to get ready for the spring. So if we can continue to improve upon our indoor golf facilities, I think that'll help us a ton just in terms of getting the guys ready for the spring season. Also help us a ton in terms of recruiting, because we're not only recruiting against PSAC schools, we're recruiting against schools from the down south that have the ability to get out and play year round, where we're at a little bit of a disadvantage with the Pennsylvania weather.
Sure. That was my next question. You are the golf team, so somebody never played golf before. I guess they could be a walk-on if they could play golf, but
yeah,
mostly it's people that already know how to play golf.
Yeah, typically we heavily recruit. Typically, with the golf team, we usually have around 10 guys on the roster.
Okay. The next question is how many on the team?
Yeah.
Any females?
We do not. We only have a men's golf team at this point in time. PSAC definitely has women's golf, but there's a little bit fewer teams. It's a little bit harder to get participation from the women's side of things just because there's not as many women that play golf at the high school level. So, yeah.
Can you get a golf scholarship here at UPJ?
There are scholarships available since we are Division II, basically Division II sports, so we do offer some scholarship money athletically. Yep.
That's neat. You talked about the winter months. One of the areas of focus you can donate today is beyond just athletics, is the golf indoor practice facility.
Yep.
What is going to be the golf indoor practice
So
facility?
we've recently secured a room off of the Wellness Center here on campus. It has high enough ceilings, and we've started to build our own little simulator room in there. The idea would be is that you can put a launch monitor on the ground, and the guys can hit a shot, and basically it reads all of the different data: how fast you hit the shot, whether it curved right to left, whether it curved left to right. And it's very, very realistic in the fact that our guys can basically trust that, even though they're hitting a shot into a net or into a mat, into a screen, they know that that data is accurate, and it's just as good as being outside during that time. So being indoors, we're able to practice as much as you want, so that's going to be a very big help to us.
We have an indoor ball set up at Cambria Hardware and go up there top of D Street.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And that's something that a lot of schools in the Northeast definitely have. So that's something that, if we can even the playing grounds against some of these other schools, it's going to help us a lot out recruiting as well.
You have any left-handed players?
Actually, no. We had a couple lefties last year that graduated. Actually, Tyler Stumpf, Chris Stumpf's son, he was a lefty. We had a few other alumni members in the past few years, but this year we actually have 8 right-handers. We have one incoming freshman coming next year that's a left-hander, so he'll be the lone lefty right now.
Yeah, I've always had a little problem there because I can never borrow anybody's clubs.
Yep.
I don't think that was my problem. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How many outings?
Tournaments that we play?
Tournaments.
Yeah, so touched a little bit on the fall. So in the fall we play 4 or 5 invitational tournaments, and then we also have our PSAC championship to kind of conclude the fall season. In the spring then we also compete as well. So we usually have 3 or 4 invitational tournaments just depending on how the schedules fall out, and then there's also the NCAA championships in the spring. So there's NCAA regionals, and then if you complete make it through regionals and advance to the NCAA championships, that's also in the spring as well.
What courses do you play?
So our home courses are Sunnyhanna Country Club and Wimber Country Club. It's very helpful to have 2 courses locally, and especially a course like Sunnyhanna. It's very, very helpful recruiting-wise, just because it's such a nice place, and we're very gracious to them to be able to host us there. But other courses we bounce around between Erie a couple times. This upcoming spring season, we're actually going down to Myrtle Beach for our spring trip. Try to get some nicer weather. We're going to play in a tournament down there. this upcoming spring we go to Glade Springs Resort for Charleston Cal U event at it's basically in the deep parts of West Virginia. Get a little bit nicer weather down there. We travel locally to IUP at Indiana Country Club, which is nice. And then our fourth tournament will be at Ogilvy Resort in Wheeling, West Virginia this spring. But looking to move up in the regional rankings and hope to make regionals again. Last year was our first appearance in program history at making regionals. And, we want that to become a staple thing where we're doing that year in and year out and giving ourselves a good opportunity to then advance from regionals into the national tournament.
How long were you out of golf?
It's a good question. I actually don't know when it was exactly founded. I walked onto the team here actually when I was a junior and played. That was right around when we were transitioning into the PSAC conference. I was a walk-on, yeah, whenever I'd played here. And then, PSAC conference is definitely one of the most competitive in Division II across all sports. It's definitely very competitive in golf. So we got to just continue to get better, day in and day out to try to compete with these other teams.
That's some really cool stuff. Again, upj.pitt.edu/give. You can see the golf indoor practice facilities, one of our areas of focus that you can donate to. You talked that certainly the team's been around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of it going? Are we getting interest, or are more students picking up the sport?
Yeah, I think so. I think during the strange years of COVID, where everyone wanted to get outside and socially distance. Honestly, it did bounds for the game of golf in general. A lot more people just wanted to get outside, get some exercise, be able to socialize a little bit with their friends and family. Not being able to basically, get together in a small area. Golf courses, acres and acres and acres of grass, and you kind of get outside and be able to clear your head. I think that's done, tremendous things for the game of golf. A lot more people have gotten out. It's a lot tougher to get out on golf courses just because there's so many more people, which is a great thing for the sport overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we had student affairs here earlier. You're the golf team. Is there a golf club on the campus?
I believe there was a couple years ago. I don't know that it's still continually active. We're one of the rare Pitt campuses too, where we have a fully loaded golf team. Like for example, at Pitt Oakland, they only have a Pitt club team, and we're the only Division II Pitt branch campus.
What is that number again?
upj.pitt.edu/give.
Because we have a golf team and Oakland doesn't.
Yeah, thank you guys for any support that you guys can give.
And you're the coach.
I am, yep. I'm the head coach, and then also Michael Drehos is our assistant coach. He was the head coach for the past few years and have since kind of passed the torch on to me. He's done a lot of great things for the program in terms of building it up, and he's also the women's basketball coach on campus as well. So please support athletics in general, and any club or foundation that's part of this Pitt Day of Giving. Any money that you can give will definitely help out the university, generally speaking.
Is there any golf-related things that you guys as an organization do that we talked about student life and so forth? Is the golf team sitting down and watching the Masters together? Are they?
Yeah, the guys definitely spend a lot of time together on and off the course. Obviously, part of the golf team, they're kind of golf enthusiasts. They're always watching the game of golf. Masters coming up. A big thing recently this past weekend was Tiger Woods coming back out to play it. Yeah, so that.
A little trouble there,
yeah, that draws a lot of buzz immediately if Tiger Woods is involved. So the guys were definitely interested in that. But yeah, the idea in the golf room is it's not only going to be a practice facility. It can be used as a get together for the team, whether it be for a study session to work together on classwork, things like that. It's going to be a collaboration zone where they're able to kind of just use that as their own space on campus to kind of get away and do their own thing. Once again, it can be a practice facility, it can be a study area, it can be just like a hangout to kind of get away from things. And like you said, maybe we're watching the Masters or other golf tournaments or things like that.
Yeah, Tiger, absolutely remarkable from having that major accident,
Yes.
pins in his leg and everything, and coming
Yes.
back and playing. But so you have Sunny Hanna and you have Wimber, and we did bring up Richland.
Yep, Richland Greens is there.
When you have a tournament, students come up and line up the sides of and watch it like.
It's not as busy as what you would think. I mean, it's a little bit tougher just because
it's a little eclectic. You're not going to get 1,000.
Yeah, it's strange in that too, and the fact that we're traveling to different universities and things like that, so it's tough for students to definitely travel that far to make events. But it's very possible. So like this upcoming spring, we play at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It's about 35 minutes away from campus, so that would be something that we can try to market and get more students there and get them more involved. Our hope is in the future to try to host an event locally as well, to kind of give our guys a little bit of a home field advantage in terms of playing our home courses. Hopefully that's a possibility in the future, and then at that point we can get more student involvement and get more people out there to kind of watch the event.
Golf's a sport you can do all your life.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can hit the ball.
It's definitely interesting.
You
in
and
that
I have
perspective.
proven that. We can't do it well, but we can do it.
Yep.
Again, upj.pitt.edu/give for Pitt Day of Giving. Athletics certainly, but the indoor practice facility sounds like it's going to be really kind of cool.
Yeah, we're excited for the future.
Curious, how much is something?
I mean, there's definitely varying tiers to what you could have. If you wanted like a real low level one, you're probably looking at $5,000 to $10,000. Some of the most expensive ones out there, like the guys on the PGA Tour have at their houses, could be $100,000. I think that if we can get something in there that's like a mid tier, somewhere in that $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 range. I mean, it can slowly build on each other, and we can buy bits and pieces here and there to continue to improve it. But that's kind of our game plan, at least.
It's gonna be really really exciting to see, and that's one of the things that you get here is when you talked about the team and it's 10 people.
Yep. Yep.
You're not a faceless kind of thing. You're a tight knit group.
Yeah.
And you talked about being a member of the team. I'm sure you keep in touch with those.
Oh yeah, we are very tight knit. One thing that we're kind of shooting to do in the upcoming future is do more of like an alumni engagement type thing. Bring our alumni back, be able to show them, our golf room, our practice facilities. Maybe try to get out at Sunnyhanna or Wimber and get a little bit more of a collaboration. And obviously that's very helpful just to get alumni involvement all the way around.
Yeah, we need one to win one of those green jackets so they can help out you.
That would be very nice. That would be very nice.
One of the
Go
I
ahead.
want to make is, as we talk about UPJ, having a golf team and all the other ancillary things on this campus, it's important. When you have a 17 or 18-year-old student that's looking to go to school, they're looking at what else is there besides classrooms. And we compete. We compete on everything out there. We compete for those students and the reality of keeping our doors open and putting people in those dormitories. So having all these different functions that are above and beyond standard have to go to class today. It's things that this generation in particular, like, gosh, now they just want one person in a dormitory now instead of two. So that's the world we live in, and that's what people expect, and we have to compete to be able to do that. And to do that, we need you to, what's that number again?
upj.pitt.edu/give.
That's our bottom line here, folks. We're trying to raise a few dollars for UPJ, so please, $50, $100. Got the hour of power coming in here at noon, so
it's coming up.
So we can get our numbers up there. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you guys for any
Coach,
donations
thank
you
you for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting to see. When's your first? Now that the weather's well, the weather kind of broke.
It did a little bit. We got outside a couple times to practice, but we'll be leaving Sunday, March 5th to go down to Myrtle Beach and practice a few days before our first tournament and hoping to hit the ground running pretty quick. After that, we really don't have a lot of time. We'll be spending time traveling in March and April to those events and trying to move up in the regional rankings.
Very cool.
And you got that coach persona when you're on TV there. You do very well.
Thank you.
Sounds exciting. It's certainly a Myrtle Beach to use that for practice and stuff. John, I think we better do an alumni inspection tour.
We might,
maybe we better
Sounds good.
plan on that.
Sounds good to me.
Coach, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for everything you're doing for the university. Yep.
So what we're going to do is go ahead. I'm going to grab David, and we're going to let him sit down with you and talk about the funds here as we get ready for our power hour. And then at noon, we welcome the big man himself, Dr. Jem Spector. So, no, well, I am. You. David, why don't you take a couple minutes here while we're waiting for the 12 o'clock power hour to run through all of our funds.
Sure.
And we'll then take our little commercial interlude and be ready for Dr. Spector.
Sounds good. Sure. And let's talk a little bit. I know that if you've been watching, we've talked about some of the real life people behind some of these real life funds. So let me go over a bunch of different funds, and you can give, again, as we mentioned before, we want to make this as easy as possible. We want to give you that opportunity that if you have an idea and you want to do something unrestricted, that's definitely an option. But let me talk about some of the different funds. Then when you go onto that upj.pitt.edu/give, it'll take you to menus of where you can start to give. So let me jump into some of those. Alphabetically Athletics General Fund. I know you guys just had the golf team coach on, Pat Pecora and Abby Gearhart, talking about a lot of the different things that sports mean to the campus. I know there's going as remedial as a place to build affinity, but it is a big part of the campus thread. The Clark Strausser Student Resource Fund. That's also a very popular fund. I know I'm not going to talk too much about the Golf Indoor Practice Fund. Just had Cody on, and
yeah, he did a good job.
Think you got some golf tips?
Yeah. Don't play.
The Ron Vickroy Scholarship Fund. Scholarship Fund. Also, I want to talk a little bit about a scholarship fund, and we can talk a little bit, have John talk about the Alumni Association. When we do our golf outing, or we do our Mountain Cat tournament in December, or whenever we take in any general donations, a portion of that goes to our scholarship fund also, where it's awarded to a junior each year, ranging between $1,000 and $2,500 to help them continue their education.
Mentioned chosen by the division heads themselves.
Correct. So the right. So the division heads submit students that they feel are of that level, and then the Alumni Association. And you don't have to be an alum. You don't have to be a parent of an alum. This is for juniors that are currently attending Pitt-Johnstown. Also, unrestricted. Not going to get into too much what that is, but if there's things that you just say, look, I want to make that $25, $50, $100, $1,000 gift, you put it to where best needed, sort of a situation. Veteran Fund. There's a lot of a connection of UPJ to the veterans community.
Veteran-friendly school, a lot of accolades for that.
Absolutely. Also have the Memorial Garden towards the top of the 9/11 commemorative area, which is pretty a pretty neat little place to kind of come on campus and check out. Some of the other things: the Chemistry Fund, Geography Fund. I know Matt, close, near and dear to Matt's heart. The Engineering Fund, something that's near and dear to Senator Wozniak's heart, is the Log Cabin Fund. Again, I talked earlier how that's kind of a landing or a taking off point for so many alum with that. So you can designate funds to that. You're chomping at the bit to say something about the Log Cabin, I'm sure.
I mean, you have an asset sitting on a campus, and one of the problems we have is because it's not ADA compliant. The UPJ can't have any functions on it.
Right.
So now we're trying to raise money and get capital so we can get the bathrooms up to ADA, get the doors and the ramps so that we can use it. It can only be used now invitation only.
Correct.
And the potential just sits there. It's just such a shame because for those of my generation, there's a lot of rock and roll legacy that goes there. That quite a few people before they hit it big, just before they hit it, right here at UPJ. And it'd sure be nice to reinstitute a concept like that.
And a lot of that legacy, interesting about the Log Cabin, just kind of a Log Cabin Pitt-Johnstown fun fact, that was built by engineering students. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about legacy, it was not only built by Pitt-Johnstown engineering students, but the logs, if you will, were donated by, I think it's now turned into Penelec. I don't know if it was Penelec. Before, but
once again, Dave, that was the 70s, and we could have did it that way. I tried that angle now, but because of the rules of engagement, we almost have to raise a lot of money just to do it the way it has to be done today.
And
it would be nice to sit there and get the engineering students. I still think they can have some role.
Sure.
You're still going to have the professional people come in and build log cabin, or even a kit. But what it really needs, it needs the HVA system updated, the electrical updated. It needs that ADA. Without that, we can't do anything.
Right.
Hopefully, somewhere in the future, because the year 2027, and if you're interested in giving, 2027 is coming up very quickly, and that is the 100th anniversary of the university.
Absolutely.
We're looking at doing a lot of good things in the year 2027.
It-
Up until then,
Interestingly enough, when you're talking numbers, 1973, a lot of things happened in 73. In 73, the Alumni Association was founded. So if you do the math, 23 to 73, we're looking at 50 years. So if you're an alum out there and you're wondering how much can I give, let's start with 50. Let's start with 500. Let's start with 5,000. Let's throw a 5 and some zeros in there. Go to that upj.pitt.edu/give. But again, engineering started in 1973. Social sciences, natural sciences, humanities, education. In 1973, this university became a 4-year university, and and John's right, man. You look at those old yearbooks and you see, that a legacy that was built. We actually had a group that came back and toured campus that was interesting. When we asked them when they graduated, their answer was the 70s, and I said. At the beginning of the tour, I wasn't sure where that was going, but I'm going to just kind of, before I get to some of these other funds, it was interesting because during that tour, we had, toured through the campus, and we stopped at the student union, and a couple of the guys said, "Hey, I remember seeing Fleetwood Mac playing here." And I said, "Okay, cool, Fleetwood Mac." We talked a little bit about Fleetwood Mac. About an hour and a half later, 90 minutes later, we ended up our tour at the log cabin. And those guys said, "I remember seeing Sting and the Police here." I did the math, and I said, they were like 6 years apart. So you're right, you guys did graduate in the 70s, not just a 4-year, but I think but there was a real affinity. That group, I'll just kind of tell you where this kind of gets back into the giving. That group came to us after the tour, a month later, and they did the tour because they wanted to commemorate a friend of theirs that had recently passed away. The Alumni Association set the tour up. And we started talking about starting a fund in humanities, where this group would, put money into a fund that would be used in humanities. And we haven't set it up yet. We're working on it. That it would be funding for students in humanities that had an emergency. Whether that emergency was, they ran out of money for a meal ticket, or they needed a car repair to get to an interview. Sort of thing. So again, it was an out-of-the-box kind of an idea, but that was some alum that sat down and said, "We'd like to give, we'd like to build something around it." But there was some real affinity for some of the things that John talked about. There was rock and roll, but there was also Leon Redbone and some more contemporary John Lupante. I didn't think you knew John Lupante, but also some of the other funds, the men's basketball fund. There's a real affinity there. We just had a Winterfest reunion where we had brought back a bunch of alum for a 2-day, reception in the evening, and then, and again, it was a kind of a casual reception. We saw about 75 alum come back to start to reconnect. And if you're sitting out there and saying, "I didn't know anything about this," the Alumni Association is now doing a monthly newsletter that goes out every month. But what the problem is, if you're not hearing from us, we don't have your proper email. So again,
watching this, you have a friend watching it.
Yeah.
Send us your email so we can disseminate that information and any ideas that you might have or directions that you want the alumni board to take. I said before, we're sort of like the women's auxiliary to the volunteer fire company, but we're here to help and really try to get the graduates, the alumni, involved with everything from coming back to the campus to taking vacations together, just like other major schools do. This is a family. It's an extended family. I tell you, if you did have a good time when your career here at UPJ, think about that $50, that $100, that $250, and send it to
upj.pitt, that's upj.pitt.edu / and the word give. And if you miss it today, like I said, let's make Pitt Day of Giving every day. Send me an email, give me a call, talk to me in institutional advancement, talk to John. And again, a lot of it is, my title is Alumni engagement and giving. We want to see that engagement. We want to get people out to start liking the Facebook page, watching or liking the LinkedIn page, watching the live stream. If you're ever near, you want to stop in, you want to do a tour, we can always find some alum that are willing to walk.
Contact with Dave, because the alumni board, we were in the doldrums, and Dave came along. I tell you what, great spark plug, graduate in the 1980s, and really made a difference here in trying to get the administration and the alumni board engaged together to try to make a big difference. So once again, we have a whole litany of different places you can give money. We wouldn't mind if you give it to the alumni board.
Right, and again, I mean, we're willing to sit down and talk, just building those relationships. Let me get through finish my task. You left us alone, and Matt, and John, and I
that's what I encourage.
started. So Pascarella Performing Arts Center, beautiful facility. You can give to that. You can help us start to bring back. And again, I know it's been probably brought up ad nauseum. We had this thing called COVID, which shut down a lot of stuff. COVID, hopefully, is behind us. We want to bring back some things. We want to do we talked about in the fall, a 50th anniversary of humanities reunion. We also want to do a natural sciences, education, engineering, and social sciences. So keep an eye out for that. The last two funds I want to talk about just real briefly is the Sergeant Basserman Memorial Scholarship Fund. That was a very popular fund. It still is a very popular fund. You can give there. And I know you had Vice President Stump on earlier talking a little bit about Student Life Activities Fund. That's what helps to build those memories, that affinity where we can come back as an alum. And don't forget, you're an alum the day you graduate. Too many people think that I'm an alum when I'm successful, 10 years down the road, and I can write that big check. You're an alum the minute you graduate. There is no membership fee at this point. We're also talking, just real quickly, of trying to, some of that bolstering, trying to build the Alumni Association up to try to find some more membership benefits in the future. So, it's these guys. It's the Alumni Board. It's a great group. We also, just want to real quickly, before Dr. Spector gets here, Alumni Association, we've got some open positions on our board. So nominations, you can go on to the webpage, go under the Pitt-Johnstown webpage, find the information of where you can self-nominate or nominate someone. We've got a board of about 21, and we're looking for 9.
We're looking for 9
7
open spots. And if you don't want to do the full-time board, we certainly have people that are interested in commissions, special funds, we had a team work with the golf tournament this year who aren't able to commit to a full-time stint on the board, but wanted to help out with the golf tournament. And I think they're going to do almost all of it this year.
Yeah.
And then take that off of me.
Yep.
Thank goodness.
That's the plan.
We're going to take our little bit of an interlude break here. We're going to run our video and then come back with look at the leaderboard, see where we're at, and hopefully have Dr. Spector. But remember, folks, we've hit that special power hour. So from noon to 1, we need you to get in there and donate. Donate for your friends and family. Couple bucks, as long as we get those numbers up, because what do we want to do? We want to win.
We want to win. We want to beat Pitt.
Great.
Well, we love them dearly, but they're not the redheaded stepchildren. We're the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown. That's important to us today.
Great.
How do I give? I'll give $100. Wait till noon.
Go over and
Can you do it?
guys help you.
Can you do it at noon?
Welcome to Pitt-Johnstown. What a great choice. The campus is beautiful.
Plenty of the usual and unusual activities.
We are Mountain Cat proud.
Which means you can be yourself. And bridge your education to the real world.
그럼 준비하라. Get ready.
Get involved.
Make a difference.
Embrace and enjoy your world.
We offer a variety of high-quality academic programs and majors to help students prepare for career and professional success in the real world. Our excellent faculty are recognized and published experts in their disciplines but they share a passion for teaching that's really evident in our classrooms. Students have the opportunity to interact with their faculty not only in the typical small classroom setting, but also in a variety of mentored, up-close and personal learning experiences, such as our undergraduate research program. It's really no wonder we're so proud of what we do here at Pitt-Johnstown.
The link I sent you. We're back here on UPJ's Pitt Day of Giving 2023. Dr. Spector is in the room. We are not the only media outlet here today. So he got snagged by the local news, but he'll be here joining us shortly. I'm assuming Dr. Spector's probably going to want the microphone, John. So
I gotta use this contraption.
yeah.
Alright. He's the boss.
So again, upj.pitt.edu/give. This is the power hour. This is where we start seeing some prizes coming in for number of donors and so forth. And let's take a look here while we have a minute and we're waiting at the leaderboard. Just to see what's going on here. And there's lots of cool things that you can, again, donate to and see. We want to see our Pitt Day of Giving and see what our challenges look like. I think I may have broken it. I'm sorry. So what we have here is our leaderboard showing some interesting things here. Let me pull it up on my laptop. Oh, never mind. Nope. We're waiting for Dr. Spector. We're waiting for Dr. Spector. We're going to go over the leaderboard, but while we no, it's not. There's a lot of cool stuff on the leaderboard that you can see, but this power hour, this is where you can really, truly make a difference here. What I'm seeing here for us as we look at the live leaderboards, about 70 unique donors, John, with a lot of money coming in. Certainly, the area of greatest need is winning so far, but that is not the be-all and end-all. There are plenty of different other options that you can donate to. If you were with us to the end of the last hour, we can go. We can go and see all the different funds that you can donate to here today. So we're going to welcome Dr. Spector here into our live stream.
So what am I doing here? You're sitting in the middle. I'm sitting in the middle? Okay.
Yeah, and there's your microphone.
Okay.
Good to see you. Dr. Spector, thanks for joining us here on UPJ's or Pitt Day of Giving 2023. How have you been?
H2P, brother. H2P. H2P.
That's what I say. H to UPJ.
H2. No, H2P.
H2P.
Yeah. Something right.
Great.
Okay.
Pitt Day of Giving means so much. What does it mean to you?
Well, Pitt Day of Giving is a day that we pay it forward. Everyone, all of the entire Pitt family, 350,000 alumni worldwide. It's a day that we pay it forward because each one of us got to where we got to in life because someone behind us gave us a push, someone pulled us up, someone helped hoist us on their shoulder. Teachers, professors, mentors, people who, family of course. And so on Pitt Day of Giving, it's a day that we all try to show appreciation for how we got to where we got to, the chances that we received, the support, and our way to say, here's how we chip in so that we can help the next generation.
That's a really, truly amazing thing. For those who are tuning in or maybe have a relative who went here but don't know too much, there's a lot of neat things about the campus. What kind of things would you like to highlight about UPJ that makes us unique, makes us stand out?
Well, we stand out for one, at least I'm a little biased, but I gotta say, we have the most amazing, dedicated, talented professors that I've worked with. And I know you're one of them. and that means you too. Because you see, people who teach here, and I've worked at many institutions, across the country. The faculty, the way they show care for students, the up-close personal attention, the way they, make themselves available after hours, office hours, and really the guidance and the quality of instruction that they provide to students. And let me give you a story. I mean, I run into alumni, people who graduated in the 70s, 80s, and I said, what is it about your Pitt experience that you remember? Almost to a person, they would mention faculty member who helped them see the future, who helped them see that they could do it.
Yeah.
Who pushed them when they felt like they wanted to give up, who inspired them to try hard. So ultimately, we think one of our biggest, our secret sauce is the quality of our faculty and staff, and the staff as well. And the staff, waiting, take like moving day on our campus. Staff come out, faculty come out, they're helping students move into the dorms, they're doing everything to support them. That's the quality of the people in this place. One of the, I think our secret sauces. Don't you think so?
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
That it's not necessarily, I'm not hidden it from the public, but not necessarily cheerful for the live stream, but with my health concerns and my health issues, I cannot believe the amount of support both from my cohort and the alumni, yourself, and the faculty and the staff, the students. How you doing today? How you feeling?
Yes.
We're that tight-knit community, and I think
Yes.
that starts from the top.
Yeah, well, I think it's a culture. It's an ethos. It's the spirit of the place.
Yeah.
And like everything else, you could have the best buildings, and we have some great buildings, and I'll talk about that later. You could have great environment, landscape, lots of space, beautiful natural spaces. You could have great technology, and I know you're a technology person. But you see, at the end of the day, what builds a great institution, what builds a great community, is the quality of its people. It's how much they look out for one another, how they listen to one another, how they help each other, support one another. And at Pitt-Johnstown, we actually have branded that. We call it up close, personal teaching, learning, support, up close and personal. That we try to be the type of campus where as a student, you run into your faculty, your staff member, having trouble and you have a question. They're there for you, no matter what. It's just like
It's really truly amazing. And before we start getting back into some of the stuff on campus, excuse me, had to sneeze. One of your initiatives that I think has really grown under you is our community involvement here at UPJ. We had Christophe on talking about how the students are so involved. Talk a little bit about our interaction with the community, the programming school, Reachland.
Well, it's a great question, and think about it, it connects back to what I said in the previous question. Community is the leaders of the community, the people, everyday people, everybody in the community who has supported this institution from its very inception. I don't know if you know this, but when this institution, even before it got built, people, 1920s, they lobbied for Pitt to have a campus here, and many of them, believe it or not, actually chipped in $1, $2, $10, which was a ton of money, just everyday folks back there. And some of them have continued that practice of giving 30 or 40 years straight. So when you ask about community initiatives, I think about people like Senator Worsley. I know I haven't seen him in a while. But I think of people like that who, is an alum, of course, proud Delta Chi. But more importantly, they have Pitt in their heart. They have UPJ. And regardless of, doing out there, legislature, banking community, school districts, superintendents, the mayor who is an alum, hospitals where we have lots of doctors and nurses, schools where we have teachers. We see ourselves as a Johnstown university, a place that, a university that is rooted in its community. And for us, being involved and trying to make that community better and trying to work with that community to solve our problems, to improve quality of life. You mentioned Richland, the trail and sidewalk for wellness. We're working in Flood City Youth Academy with the Johnstown School District, where we teach computer literacy. We have a wide range of initiatives that we are working on right now with Vision 2025 with Mike Kane and the team there to enhance the downtown. So, in a number of areas, Pitt-Johnstown UPJ is proud to partner with community leaders, partner with our institutions to work together to make our community a better place. Because after all, when the community does well, we do well, and we think that when we do well, we strengthen it as well.
Fantastic. Actually, you two talk for a second. I have a second mic. I can switch out for you.
Because Mr. President, he gave me this, and this doesn't work right. But anyway, your enthusiasm is contagious. But I thank you for coming on, and this is Matt Sarnell's effort here because he's the technology guy. We're on live. But you brought something up that I didn't even think of when we started. Somebody was there for us. So what we're asking to do is for the people at the Pitt Day of Giving, obviously you have a choice, Oakland or Greensburg or Titusville or Johnstown. It's your day of giving, even if it's $50 or $100. And what I'm going to be bringing up next is the year 2027 and that major milestone that we're going to be achieving there. But think about the people that are going to school now. We went through COVID. We're going through financial challenges in Harrisburg, and even though every year they go down and they have their hand out and they ask for the budgetary request, it's always a fight. But here at home, we have to help ourselves, and with our over 22,000 alumni, many hands make light work. So our plea today is, and Dave gave you the whole litany of the different organizations or the programs that you can contribute to, or just the general wellness of the university. But please, take your time out for the hour of power and contribute. But Dr. Spector's been here. How many years have you been the president now?
15 years.
15 years. My goodness, you haven't aged a bit. You look marvelous.
Trying to look like you.
Not with this on. But tell us about, since it's all about the university, and you've seen the opportunity that many of the alumni, particularly in the 70s, have now returned back and to nurture them. And they're just absolutely amazed at the growth of the university. The edifices there when they were there still exist. And the nice thing is, all our growth, we sort of kept the same architectural design.
Yes.
Keep the campus, instead of looking like a hospital put together over the years of many different architectural schemes and bricks, to look the same with the stonework. And it fits here in this mountainside. But I guess we're struggling, every other college, to bring our numbers back up because of after COVID. But in 2027, something happens, and we really want to have a good push on for that.
Yes. In 2027, we turn 100 years old, right? So you think about it, we have had 100 years of presence in the Johnstown area. And over that time, we have over 25, maybe 27,000 alumni worldwide. Just this campus. And that anniversary is a milestone moment, but it's a time as well, I think, where we want to celebrate this legacy. And Pitt Day of Giving is a moment where we got to think about the legacy and how we build it up for the next generation.
And I brought up earlier about legacy. $50 to $100, and of course we like those very well-intentioned people to have the $50,000, but we all know we're mortals, so maybe someday we're going to die. Children don't need it all. You can bequeath some of your estate or some of your finances to the university, and that's one way that you can give after you don't need it anymore. And give it to a
Well-
generation that could be important.
We are fortunate as a university that we have so many people who are excited about what's happening on campus. You mentioned buildings, but think about the new programs that we have built in the last decade or so. We've strengthened our profile in engineering and computer science. The nursing school, we've strengthened our profile in business and enterprise and innovation. And we have thousands of alumni who over the years have continued to give to us. And to me, give to your university. If you have a lot, maybe you give some of it. But what I like the most about our donors and friends is they give us their heart, their passion, they give us time. Right now you're giving us time. You could be doing so many things and you're so, in so much in demand and people want you to come speak here, but you're here. And to me, that is really the mark, the hallmark of our alumni, that they give us not just resources, some give, quite a lot, some give whatever they can do, but they give us time and they give us passion, they give us pride, they give us reputation. And that's something that I want to emphasize. Every time I meet an alum, I try to show them gratitude for how they helped build the reputation of this institution over decades. So like right now, we are ranked in the top 25 of schools in U.S. News and World Report in the North, meaning we're one of best colleges in the U.S. News and World Report, as well as Princeton Review has ranked us as the best in the Northeast institution every year. Now, that ranking just did not happen. It happened because people like you went here, people like you, then you build that reputation. So on Pitt Day of Giving, in addition to talking about giving, we want to talk about gratitude, to thank the alumni who built the quality, the reputation of this place that makes it such that when our graduates go out there and they apply for a job at an engineering firm or at a hospital or to be a teacher, a police officer, people are just snapping them up. They are basically calling me and telling me, send us more. And so, again, it's a day where we want to give, but even as we are asking folks to give and please, log in there and do something, more importantly, I want to take time to say thank you for representing us, for showing people what a high quality education, an investment in a quality, excellent college education, what that investment can produce. It produces successful community members who are building Western Pennsylvania, who are strengthening our community, who are engines behind innovation and creativity. That is what, for me, again, it's about giving, but for me, the other G that's connected to giving is gratitude. I'm here really to do the gratitude thing, to tell you guys, all of you out there, gentlemen and ladies, in Pitt Day of Giving, I just want to say thank you for representing us, for showing your Pitt pride and passion. Keep on, keep it on.
Okay, the president's saying thank you, but Matt and I are saying, what's that?
I was going to test you,
After today, I don't have to remember. So
upj.pitt.edu/give. It's there on the screen.
Yep. And this is the hour of power, so now's the time to give. And Mr. President, I think maybe there are some Australians, but we have students at this university that came from every continent except Antarctica, I believe. So that's rather remarkable.
Yes.
And I was just walking around today asking students how they got there, and they said advisors, by the magic of technology and looking what they were looking for, and UPJ shows up on their radar screen. So there's students here from the four corners of this country and the four corners of this world are coming to UPJ, which I think is admirable to sit there and say our little place here in the mountaintop in the Laurel Highlands is actually a driving point for our local economy. But it's also a place where people are coming and they're going back home. And who knows what happens when they're going back to Europe, they're going back to the 53 nations of Africa, they're going to Indonesia, they're going to Asia, and they're saying, where'd you go to school? UPJ. And I think that's pretty cool.
One of the things that you talked about, and John, you just hit on it too, is that connection from around the world. I grew up on this campus, and one of the neatest experiences I've ever had isn't being a student. That was awesome. Wasn't being co-president of the Alumni Association. That is awesome. Wasn't teaching. That was awesome. It's when last year I got to bring my niece from she lives in Western New York, smart as a whip, and she wanted to tour around campus. And she's still too young, and she was so happy she grabbed stuff in the bookstore, so she'll send me pictures, and she's wearing UPJ, Pitt-Johnstown shirts to school functions and stuff up there. It is a family here, whether it's through blood or just community, like you said.
Absolutely, you're right on point. And Senator, you're exactly right. Our students come from all over the world, but we also want to emphasize that we are not just a Johnstown University, we're a Pennsylvania, statewide. So if we get so many students from Philadelphia, from Erie, from, of course, the tri-state area, and increasingly so, I've run into students who come from out of state. I just talked to a student from Toronto, Canada, and then last week I met a couple from Texas. So it is important that as we celebrate Pitt Day of Giving, that we think about our alumni spread across the state and the work that they are doing and how they are just building the Commonwealth, making the Commonwealth stronger. And so, yes, as we're again asking folks to show their Pitt pride, but we also want them to remember the quality instruction that they received on this campus, the faculty who cared for them, to remember the staff support, and to think about the investments that we made so they enjoyed good facilities, and so on. And that in Pitt Day of Giving, as I said earlier, it's a day where we pay it forward. We try to pay it forward. We say we went to a university that is ranked by the Brookings Institution as one of the best colleges when it comes to preparing students for the real world. A university that, when you look at our retention rates and graduation rates, we beat most of our peer institutions. So here today on Pitt Day of Giving, I want to say, let us show that Pitt pride. Let us show appreciation for how we got here, and remember to try to pay it forward.
And the university, and Matt and I, we can attest to it. The students aren't just a number here. They're part of the university. From the moment they matriculate as freshmen to the day they leave as seniors, they have a relationship with most professors that nobody has in other larger universities. That intimacy is a quality of education. The intersocial interactions of the clubs that we talked about earlier, it's a full-faceted school, and it's big enough that you get the flavor of a large school, but yet small enough that it's intimate, that you don't get lost in the shuffle. And I think that's important to be said for the University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown, and of course to have a good champion, and Dr. Spector, of course.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But
Very kind. Thank you.
This is our opportunity to as the President said, is to carry it forward. There were people that we never knew who they were that were putting money aside up at the University of Pittsburgh-Johnstown in 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, 2000, 2010 for scholarships, for programs to help defray that cost of education, because they knew many of the students coming here are the first generation too. And that, getting over that hump, is a real challenge to people whose parents might never have gone to a higher education. So any help that we can give, and to bring them in, perhaps the second generation chooses to come to where their parents went. But it's a great place to go to school. It's a great place to help out the next generation, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, that just well said, well said. And something I'd like to add, which is connected to that big anniversary. As part of preparing for that anniversary, 2027, 100 years of UPJ, we are involved now in finalizing our strategic plan. And we're calling it the plan for the next century. So we got a great thing here, right? So what are we supposed to do? Leave it as is? No. It's our time to make the next level of investments in our people, in our programs, in our place, to build this institution and position it well for another century of success. You see, some initiatives that we're talking about in that strategic plan, really, they all center around that theme of our people, our programs, our place, and our promise. Let me talk about our people. You take like our faculty, right? Great teachers, but we still need to provide additional, support in terms of equipment for their research. We need to enable them to do high quality research. And so Pitt Day of Giving is a chance to perhaps show some love to the faculty by supporting investment in research equipment for faculty. So maybe that's one way you could show your love. Another way to show your love is, you take like our staff. I mean, obviously, we're trying, one of the issues that, a priority that we think should occur, should be realized in the next strategic plan is to invest in a technology for our staff. Our staff computers are really old and they need to be updated, and that's a priority. Maybe again, that's one way you show support, by making a gift that would go towards upgrading technology. Our Wi-Fi on campus, there are some issues here and there, and certainly we can update it. That's another place where your gift will make a difference to the quality of the experience that our people, our faculty, whether it's better equipment, our students, better Wi-Fi, our staff, whether it's better working environments, spaces. So that's one way. But again, when it comes to our people, the biggest investment that you can make is scholarships for students. Because again, that gift, when you make a scholarship gift for $100, $1,000, or $100,000, and believe it or not, some folks, alumni do that. In fact, a recent gift from an alum was $7 million. So investments, and all for scholarships, by the way. So investments in student success, that makes a difference. Another area of investment is, to invest in our programs so we can build the kinds of programs that enable students to get great jobs. As I mentioned, the Brookings Institution counts UPJ, Georgetown University, and Brown University. Brown is an Ivy League school, so they put us in that category as some of the best schools when it comes to preparing students for jobs in the real world. So if you want us to keep doing more of that, you got to make, this is a day to help push us forward, so that plan for the next century, when it comes to investing in our people, our programs, our infrastructure, athletic programs, athletic facilities, we need you to help make that plan for the next century a success.
One of the things that we've talked about with everybody, and you hit on the point today, is that when you do go to that upj.pitt.edu/give, it is going to our facilities, our students, our student athletes, those sorts of things. This campus runs like a small community. It really does. You don't have a limo service. We don't have a limo service. We should, as the presidents of the Alumni Association. So make a note. But that money goes not to those sorts of things. It goes back to our students.
Yes. And you mentioned, and I talked about athletic facilities. That's a major priority of ours. You take, for example, right now, our athletic fields, the outdoor sports, they're not in good shape. In fact, they're not in good shape. But that could change. And let me tell you what an alumni gift can do, what difference alumni can make. A few years ago, I gave a tour to an alum. I said, this basketball court of ours, it really needs some work. He looked at me and said, yeah, it needs we need to bring it to the 21st century. A few months later, that alum brought about the gift that alum brought about, led to the basketball court that you see today, which is one of the best in the PSAC. And I got to tell you, I watched a game there the other night where we beat Edinburgh, the men's and women's teams. And people were very impressed when they saw our basketball court. But how did that happen? Because of an alum named Rich Reagan, who enabled us to have the quality. So out there right now, one of you listening, you too could, perhaps you like softball. We need a softball field. Perhaps you like soccer. Perhaps you're thinking baseball. We need to upgrade all those athletic fields. We need locker rooms. So Pitt Day of Giving is a time for you to, think about what you're passionate about. What difference do you want to make in your alma mater? How do you want us to be in the next century, right? Since you got a good thing, help us build it for the next generation of students, to make investments in our people, in terms of the faculty, the research, to support them in quality teaching, to make investments in students through scholarships and, facilities, upgrading the student union here. This needs to be upgraded. It's a top priority. In athletic fields, in residence halls, and ultimately to help make this place extraordinary and distinctive, because we believe the quality of a university is known not by what it's doing today, but by its alumni.
And we invite any alumni out there to come and visit this campus, particularly those of you that graduated in my generation, to come and see the difference that's happened over the past 40 years. And you'd be surprised that UPJ not only is on the map, but it's taking the map over, and under the guidance of President Spector, has some great plans for the 21st century. And I think he just brought us some great ideas. If you're involved in the sports, soccer, even the locker rooms, very concrete. It's something we can do with the capital that you can help us out with. And it will be there long after it's paid for. It's concrete, it's there. And ultimately, we have to engage students to come here, and they're competing all over this region, all over this nation.
Yes.
And the better that we can make that competitive edge, the better we can put those scholarships together to give people those incentives that they need. Because once we get them here, once they see that campus, once we make that price competitive, they're going to come here, they're going to stay, and the growth is there. Obviously, my selfish reason is this is my hometown. The economy that the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown brings to the greater Johnstown region is underestimated. I don't think people realize how many millions of dollars, simply because of the exponential money multiplying effect that I learned back in my economics, is what's here. It's a recession-proof, but a recessive sensitive industry. And we can protect that by this hour of giving, by the gift giving, and helping UPJ be competitive. And Mr. President, I have to thank you for your leadership on this hill, because you've done a great job. And I've been under a few presidents, and I probably know you personally better than most of the other ones. I won't say anything about the other ones, but you've been the closest one I've had, and you've known my last 15 years, and you've done a great job.
Thank you, Senator. And I got to say, I'm just the front man. I'm just the guy in front of but next to me and around me are an amazing faculty, staff, my colleagues in the administration, members of my cabinet. And what you're seeing every time you hear about UPJ's success, you got to remember there's a network of people in this place, the family, the faculty, the staff, and the staff at all levels, from the person who is just doing, some job that doesn't seem like, quote unquote, the most important, but that doesn't really matter. It's everyone. It's how all of that, how every single member of this community helps bring about student success, helps bring about the success that we enjoy in the community. But more importantly, on Pitt Day of Giving, I want to just emphasize that point again that I made about gratitude. Yes, I know we are asking you to try to chip in today, and please do. We're asking you to think about, all these investments that we need to make in the future in our students, in our faculty, in our facilities, in our programs and infrastructure and environment. But that's just half of it. The other half of it, as the president here, the thing that I'm most animated about today is just the joy to say thank you to you all out there, to the Pitt Nation, Pitt world, UPJ world. Because, quite frankly, it's, before one even asks for anything, we got to say thank you 1,000 times. And indeed, thank you 1,000 times for everything that you're doing, how you're representing us in all walks of life, as surgeons, as teachers, as engineers, as judges, legislators, family members, community members, by representing us so well, with so much distinction and quality. You're giving a gift. You're giving a gift to the world. You're giving a gift to your community by representing us so well. So, yeah, we're asking you to give some dollars, but that's the other thing. It's less important in some ways. We thank you for the gift of the quality that you bring to people's lives as teachers, as nurses. We thank you for the gift that you constantly bring to people's lives as engineers, educators, legislators. And we hope that you join us as we try to pay it forward, so there could be a next generation of people like you, people of distinction, making a difference in your communities. Your gift today can make that possible.
I think, and I've often described camp when I think, and I try to think of how would I describe campus? How would I describe UPJ? And I've been on many sides of it. I've been a student, I've been faculty, I've been staff, I've been alumni, I've been everything in between. But we're a construction company building the future. Building the future by putting knowledge,
we're building the future
in those young minds that are going to do the things that we can't even imagine yet today.
Right, and we are doing it together with our alumni. So UPJ is not just the people you see here. It's the 25,000 plus alumni working with you, and teachers and faculty like you, and community leaders like the senator. We're building the future.
Yeah.
Senator, what do you think about that?
Oh, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit, because it's all very serious. It's about the education of our children. It's about maintaining the physical presence here. But I want to go back to my generation and those that came after me, because we're asking for a gift right now.
In that power hour, 10 minutes left.
In that power hour, did you have $100 worth of fun at this university? If you did, make that contribution today. Because the truth is, not only did you get an education, not only did you get a fine career out of it, but those 4 years, I'm sure you can find a contribution of fun, because that was part of the makeup of that university too. So,
Senator, I know you had too much fun.
Well, I probably did, but it turned out okay, and the university gave me a degree, and I'm eternally grateful.
I met your amazing brothers, the Delta Chi brothers. Dozens of people who showed up at the 50th anniversary. And speaking of alumni and speaking of people who love and support and give to their university, those folks are exceptional. And so, yes, it's Power Hour. It's a day to show your Pitt pride, to show that passion for Pitt, to celebrate, but more importantly, not to forget the obligation we all have as community members, as citizens, as leaders, as people in this university, to remember the next generation, to remember what it took for each one of us to get here, and to make sure that you do all you can, however little it is, to do all you can to give that little push so the next generation gets a chance to move up, just the same way that your university and faculty. So it's that Power Hour, right, Senator?
It is.
It is.
Please. UPJ.
upj.pitt.edu/give. And it's that special little community touch. I told a story really earlier in the live stream for those who weren't on board. I got an email over Christmas from a student because we had a small class and worked together. He got some hands-on experience working in a class of mine, and he said that was the difference between getting a full-time job and not. He beat out somebody from a bigger school because of the kind of education he got here. And those are the stories that are going to be fantastic. So hopefully he's doing well and making some money, and we'll give here during our power hour.
Remember, Mr. President brought up, it's the pragmatic application of education, and that's what this is all about. It's like receiving that education, nurturing that education, being able to take the book learning, and turn it into a really functional opportunity to sit there and better yourselves and your families, and make yourselves a better and wiser person simply because the opportunity to attend UPJ. What we're asking for is to give another generation that same opportunity. Not everybody's fortunate out there, and college expenses continue to rise, and they will continue to rise. So anything that we can do as alumni, or just concerned citizens that are watching this, you don't even have to be a graduate of UPJ to get, or to Pitt to give, but to help out so that we can help with those scholarships, help with the physical plant, help with the programming, help with the computers, which constantly need upgraded, and maybe someday I'll even learn how to use all the tools inside this simple.
I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming into the 21st century, Senator. Dr. Spector, I know you're a busy man. Before we let you go, any final points that we should have hit on that I left out, or John left out?
No, I think you said the phrase, to me, the best phrase that I've heard all day about this is building the future. Building the future. That's what we are trying to do here, exactly what you said. Because ultimately, the Senator talked about that 2027 anniversary, and I mentioned the strategic plan. So Pitt Day of Giving, we see it as just one, and a key element in how we generate momentum to ensure that when we reach that milestone moment of 100 years, that we have positioned this institution and we have prepared it and primed it so that it is ready to serve the Johnstown community for the next 100 years. And so we can continue this legacy. Fundamentally, I want to end where I started. I know it's a day to give, and everybody's saying give, and yes, please, do what you can. Every bit counts. But I want to thank you for the giving that you do by being a quality person, a quality leader in your community, a quality teacher, a quality surgeon, a quality nurse, a quality police officer, a quality judge, a quality community leader, because a quality family person. Because ultimately, everything that we want you to do is not about giving us $10 or 100 or 1,000 or 100,000. That should come second. The first thing is we want you to keep giving the gift of that education that you receive, the talents that you acquired while you were here, the training and the education in the craft, in the profession that you're practicing every day, in the service that you're doing for your community, in the leadership that you're providing.
Yep.
Then we can also ask you, perhaps, do you have a buck or two to add so the next generation can become a quality surgeon like you, a quality teacher? So Pitt Day of Giving is a day for me to remember the other G in giving, which is gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for being a quality Pitt alum. Thank you for being a quality teacher out there, a quality nurse, a quality educator, a quality businessman, a successful corporate titan who is creating jobs and giving other people opportunities. Thank you for being a community builder wherever you are.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a good citizen, because citizenship is important. How we strengthen our country and work together as one people. Pitt-Johnstown people that I meet across the country, wherever I go, they are quality people doing the work of building communities and making us the great country that we are. So thank you, and all the best. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Spector, for joining us here during the Power Hour.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Folks, we got just a handful of minutes left for the Power Hour. We need to keep those donations up and rolling. So we're going to take you here through the top of the hour, then take a little bit of a break, and then at 1 o'clock we have, we're going to, let me look at the schedule here. At 1 o'clock, we're going to talk about the Alumni Association a little bit. So we'll find some alumni here for you to talk to. Again, you have just a handful of minutes left here for the power hour. Let's take a look here and see where we're at with the leaderboard. We welcome you if you haven't been on part of the stream yet. If you have been here through the stream, we certainly appreciate having you take part in this. It is something very special to us, and it's actually the first year we get to do this in a live setting. We did it once with COVID remotely, but this is the first live setting where we got a whole bunch of neat things going on, and that truly is special, to say the least. But what makes it unique is your assistance, whether it's wherever you decide to place your couple of dollars. And that's what we're talking about here, folks. Yes, would we love a big donation? Absolutely. But big donations don't make it all. It is the small donations. It's the folks out there who, like you, that are that give $5 or $10 that truly do make the difference here. So as we close out the power hour, we want to again thank you, and as we look back at the leaderboard here, we've upped our donors by almost 20 during this hour, so thank you for that. Again, all of our funds are looking strong. You can visit upj.pitt.edu/give to see where things are standing, how things look, and truly become part of the team in a variety of different ways. So, as we close out the 12 o'clock hour here, we're going to take a little bit of our interlude break, and we'll be back to talk about alumni and wrap up the live stream here. But thank you, folks, for your continued support and tuning in. When we certainly thank our guests that we've had so far today, and we look forward to having a lot more.
Welcome to Pitt-Johnstown. What a great choice. The campus is beautiful.
Plenty of the usual and unusual activities.
We are Mountain Cat proud.
Which means you can be yourself.
And bridge your education to the real world.
그럼 준비하라. Get ready. Get involved. Make a difference.
Embrace and enjoy your world.
We offer a variety of high-quality academic programs and majors to help students prepare for career and professional success in the real world. Our excellent faculty are recognized and published experts in their disciplines, but they share a passion for teaching that's really evident in our classrooms. Students have the opportunity to interact with their faculty not only in the typical small classroom setting, but also in a variety of mentored, up-close and personal learning experiences, such as our undergraduate research program. It's really no wonder we're so proud of what we do here at Pitt-Johnstown.
That's okay.
And we're back live here, Pitt Day of Giving 2023. It's me and Dave. John's going to join us here if he hadn't wandered off to find some freebies.
Yeah, he's stuck Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah,
I saw him hitting
so we're going to talk a little bit about alumni. But it looks like we did good during the Power Hour. Gained about 25 new donors. And you said we jumped up during the Power Hour from 11th to 9th, on the leaderboard.
The leaderboard.
So that's very, very exciting across the board. So I'm going to let you two talk about alumni for a little bit and work the ambassadors, and I'll let Lori know, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. And that is important. You know, we went from 11 to 9 in that last Power Hour, and the Power Hour was power. I don't know if you guys tuned in and you saw Dr. Spector. We're going to try to follow that enthusiasm, but he makes a lot of good points, and Matt made a lot of good points, I think, also during that. Building the future, building relationships. As an alum, how can I say it? I get a little upset when someone says something about the university. And particularly, Pitt-Johnstown. It is my university. This is your university. This is our university. This is those things. I'll tell you my quick alumni story. I transferred in from another university, much larger school.
What school was that?
Kent State University in Kent, Ohio. And my student career was kind of doing this. Wasn't doing anything else. But when I got here at Pitt-Johnstown, a lot of what we talked about all afternoon. You got to know your professors. You got to know your advisors. You got to know your deans. I started seeing my interest in a career and my interest in studying start to take this trajectory. Started to go upwards. And it was a lot to do with, I got here. If you wanted to be the editor-in-chief, the advocate, go to a couple of meetings. If you wanted to get with the radio station, go to a couple of meetings. If you wanted to join a fraternity, you knew your pledge class. And that built that affinity. So when someone says something about, everybody always complains about the weather in Johnstown. So I don't get, when I hear, that complaint I can accept. But if someone says, this, that, or whatever, this is, I'm sure you feel a lot the same way, John, being your university, your alumni. Matt's an alumni. It's interesting. I did a recent project. Went to Human Resources and said, can you run me a report of how many employees we have here that are alum? We're in 45, almost 50 employees that had gone to school here, graduated, came back and worked here. So, when you talk, alumni are everywhere. They're here. So, we're trying to, that bit of affinity that you may feel watching the live stream, click on that I'm going to do it this time? You're not going to get it, are you? upj.pitt.edu/give. And give of your time, give of your money. The Alumni Association meets every quarter.
Okay, alumni, hopefully a lot of alumni watching this, particularly from my generation. All you have to start doing is say, you remember Clark Strasser? You remember Dr. Alexander?
Right.
You remember Don Weigel? You remember Michael Yates, the socialist economics professor? You remember Dave Willey? And you can go on and on, have stories with all of them and the friends and the organizations you belong to. And you start realizing that 4 years from 18 to 22 was a real maturing time in your life. You really got a lot of quality living out of UPJ. Met a lot of people. You laugh, Dave. But along with the schooling, you engage in other extracurricular activities. Some you can talk about, some you can't. But at least, as I said earlier, you had a contribution's worth of fun, didn't you? So call in there and say, for the next generation, so that they can have their stories of their professors, their stories of their growing up from 18 to 22 years of age, an opportunity here at UPJ. And as the president said, we're moving very quickly into the year 2027, which is our 100th anniversary. That's rather remarkable from a concept of only 1927 by a handful of business people in what was once a concentrated steel town to a much more diverse and different economy today. But the product that we're producing is the next generation. And they are, as he said, the engineers, the doctors, the professors, the businessmen, the titans of industry, and the politicians. But it all happens because those young people can get the way, the finances to get that education. That's what we're trying to help out here. Not just the physical plants and the buildings, but what they're built for. And that's for the next generation to be educated.
Right, and, you have from now until 11:59 tonight, so it doesn't end at 2 o'clock. upj.pitt.edu/give, and you're right, John. It's that. This was a big part in many. I hear it so many times. To sum it up, so many alum that come back to a group that want to do a tour, and they say, this is where it all began. This is where I decided that. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to become an engineer. I wanted to, get a degree in journalism or communications or geology. And for a lot of people, you go back to 1927. This university gave that opportunity. Think about, probably, before my time and your time, in 1927, and I live in Johnstown. What are my chances of working in the mill and taking night classes? I talked to a recent alum, Donald Freeman. Worked on every NASA flight that there was. He sat there. I get goosebumps sitting here talking about it. And he's an alum from early 70s. He was an Asphalt Campus alum. Did his, got a degree in engineering. He carries around, and I just love this guy. He carries around his Western Union telegraph from NASA that said, we want you to come down here to, I guess, Cape Canaveral. Back then it was not Cape Canaveral, but we want you to come down and we will pay you $7,000 a year to become an engineer for NASA. But he sat there and told me he worked on every Apollo flight. He worked on one of the Skylab, one of the space shuttle flights. But he's part of a group that we've started here called the SAGE Project. And, that's trying to bring alums such as Donald back to meet casually with freshmen or students here that, this isn't Tom Hanks and Apollo 11?
13.
Apollo 13. This is real life. But this is real life. And, John, how many years did you serve the state as a senator?
36 between the House and Senate. So
36 years, yeah. So to sit down with, someone like John Wozniak and thinking, this crazy idea that, so what's your degree? Poli-sci. No. What do I do after? No. But I mean, you get with the poli-sci. But you get a poli-sci student right now that says, what do I do once I get that degree? I mean,
you go to law school.
But how do you go from?
How do you go from that to being that?
Yeah.
By having classes where those type of people come in and actually tell you, say, this is what I do for a living. This is how you get to be that person. And that's what UPJ can do. I meant many times I've gone in different classrooms, spoke about civics, government, et cetera, and afterwards students would ask, well, how did you do that? How did you get engaged? And these are the things that UPJ teaches those students, is how do you get from your graduate degree to an actual career. And once again, because it's career-oriented university, it's not just get your book learned and give us the money. It's how do we get from that to a real-life scenario. And once again, as the co-president of the Alumni Association with Mass Renell, what we're asking the alumni out there is communicate with us. Go on our website, go on our Facebook page, go on LinkedIn. Give us your email, even your phone number. And give us ideas of what you would like to see the alumni board do. What would you like to do? Would you like to take trips every fall or every winter and let's go to a unique place and put a package deal together? Maybe you can get 6, 8 people together. Another group can get 6 to 8 people together. Next thing you know, we have a plane full and we can go visit Italy or something. It's concepts like that. The sky's the limit, but it's what the alumni want to do. And the more that we can do that together, the more another generation sees that it doesn't end the day of their graduation, but becomes part of their life.
But it begins on that day of graduation. I know that Dr. Spector talked about it. I know you might have mentioned it. I know I've mentioned it earlier. But we had the
fine gentlemen at Delta Chi come back for a 50-year reunion, and it wasn't going to Italy, it wasn't going to Oakland. It was 3.5 hours of those gentlemen reminiscing their campus. It's interesting because we sat down with some of the organizers, Bernie Martin, who was one of the organizers, and I said, Bernie, he wants to do a tour of the campus, and I said, Bernie, tell me the Delta Chi story. Tell me what meant to you. So I sent him a map and said, circle some buildings and let's build a tour. And it was interesting. Bernie came back with, this room in Biddle Hall was where some gentlemen got together and decided let's charter Delta Chi. This was it Laurel Hall, I believe it was.
Oh, I don't know. Bernie's
it was one of the halls named after trees. But he had said, this is where we got together and we met, and we made smaller signs. Part of that tour, for many of you that were here when I was here, the mountain cat wasn't on the mall. The beautiful statue of the mountain cat wasn't on the mall. We had a fraternity, whether they were a pledge class or whether they were their full fraternity, stop and take photographs there. But we went 3.5 hours. And it was not a boring minute in that 3.5 hours where we just toured, the exotic corners of Richland Township, where it was people stopping and thinking, this is where this happened, this is where that happened. And, sure, John, there were some of those, this is where this happened, we can't talk about it on a live stream, but the majority of those stories were, this is where I met my wife, or this is where I can remember taking finals, or this is where I decided to pledge and become part of something larger than myself.
And it doesn't have to be the fraternity. It's any organization you belong to. Because what happened at the fraternity reunion, obviously there's 40 years of different people that never met each other. But it was good to see the old timers that you haven't seen since you graduated school. And this is probably most likely, unless we do it again, and we're thinking maybe in year 2027, maybe getting a table or two for the big anniversary.
Sure.
It might be the last time we see each other. So it's nice to reminisce. And for a few hours, as I said, we were young again. And there's something to be said for that. Those 4 years were important 4 years of all of our lives. And to be able to talk to some of those people you graduated with and being young again, it carries that memory for the rest of your life. But once again, we're asking the UPJ or Pitt or Independence or people that aren't even affiliated with the campus to make a contribution to help another generation to have their memories.
How do you do that, John?
By having Dave say
upj.pitt.edu/give. Today is Pitt Day of Giving. I know that Dr. Spector, I can't do it, justice to get as fired up as enthusiastic as he was about getting us to that website, but it's till 11:59 tonight. And this is it, and Matt's right. It is about showing, other arms of, in fact, it's not just about, doing better than Oakland. It's about doing better than Greensburg, doing better than Titusville, doing better than Bradford. This is your university. This is Johnstown. I mentioned it before. I can remember, you get a Pitt diploma, you get a Pitt diploma, you get a Pitt diploma. But in the alumni circles, that's a Pitt-Johnstown diploma. It's a Pitt-Johnstown experience. Your contributions help keeping that alive, help keeping, I go back to, I can't talk enough about the Alumni Association scholarship. If I'm a junior and, I've been nominated by one of my professors, that $1,000, that $2,500 on some years can make a big difference. I mean, I don't know how many people that I speak to, you meet, so I put in 2 years, or I put in 3 years, or I got, those out there that put in 3 3/4 years and was short a couple of credits and decided not to get that degree. The degrees are important, but I think the Alumni Association, the experiences are just as important, if not more important. And we're here to help, like John said, relive those experiences. I hope we can make people young again. I don't know, that's
not physically.
A big promise, I mean.
But you can take your memory back. And also, what we want to do this year for homecoming is, homecoming's homecoming. It's not just for the students, it's for all the alumni. And we're really trying to generate that enthusiasm. So if anybody out there watching this, once again, go on Facebook, go online, and give us your email. Give us a way we can communicate with you. Because Dave says, he's got a lot of them on there, but to say EDU at the end of it. And we all know that sort of terminated the day you graduated, and there's no new email or communication device out there. That way, you can get the monthly newsletter or e-blast or whatever you want to call it,
right.
and know what's going on, and be able to participate, communicate back, and help network the alumni to build that 2,500 or so out there. We won't find everybody, but if we can get them all talking and communication, that's a pretty big family to be part of.
I mean, we had just done a thing online where we called it the Mountain Cat Couples. And we had asked alum, if you met your wife or significant other, your fiance, let us know. We had over 20 alum that it was interesting, as we were putting those stories on to the Facebook page, and now they're in the e-newsletter as a slideshow. You read those stories, and it made you feel really good about a world some days that you grow up and think, man, it's not the best day to get out of bed, but you got to read about relationships that were made that now have families, now have next generation, where you get to that age.
See, we never knew UPJ was a dating service too.
Well, yeah, it's the best. You got something in common, but you start to see that legacy. You start to see, I talked to an alum about 6 months ago who was here touring with his son. They're bringing their sons back. Saying, hey, look, I went to school here. Check out UPJ, and that's those. I can't mention it enough. Building relationships. That check goes so far, but relationships go even further. Like John said, we had a bunch of Lambdas come back. I'm working with Delta Sigs about interested in coming back in March. But it doesn't have to be a fraternity. It could be, like I said, it could be Laurel Hall. It could be
engineering association.
Right. Women in engineering. It could be, the Advocate. It could be WPJ. It could be, like I said, we just did an athletic reunion in coordination with athletics. We had 75 individuals come back. I walked into the reception. There were two guys I haven't seen for 35 years. Standing there, and I was like, wow, that's got to be them. And it was that, and guess what? We exchanged emails. We're trying to get them back into what's going on in the Alumni Association.
And for a few minutes, you were what? You were
young
again.
Yeah, I was young again, I guess, for a little bit. Yeah, we were talking about, these guys were basketball players. I was cross-country runner, so there was not a whole lot we had in common. But it was neat to relive those, what do you call them, the glory years, I guess, behind us. But that's why we're here, and it again happens with good thoughts and good deeds and donations. So it takes all of that.
And we have to keep talking here because
because I think Matt is now at the Jolly Roger table, Jolly Rancher table. We were promised that we would have an ambassador stop by, but yeah, again, I said it before. You can get involved with the Alumni Association by simply liking the Facebook page.
Right.
Pitt-Johnstown, or University of Pittsburgh Johnstown on Facebook. You like it. We do some really cool, every day there's a different feature from, we're actually highlighting businesses, alumni businesses. They've been alumni business out there. We want to.
And right now, the alumni, even though this is the Pitt Day of Giving, and we want you to give to Pitt, the alumni board that I sit on is like, what we're asking is we need you. We want your participation. We want to know how to communicate with you. We want you to give us a vision as to what direction you want to take the alumni association, what direction you want to take. What kind of functions do you want us to do? What would bring you to do things with the alumni? What would bring you back to Pitt? Would you like to go on a bus trip to a football game or a basketball game? The sky's the limit of the concepts you can have, but we really want to hear from you, get you into the network so you can start sharing with us, and we can start sharing with you about the direction of UPJ in the 21st century.
All right, we're just going to rustle up an ambassador here.
Some ambassador so we can question
and again, those ambassadors, those students, that's where, I say you become...
I was a student ambassador.
Were you a student ambassador? Well, we might have some likelihood of hopefully similar stories.
Yeah, we just showed students around. Then we got a trip to Chicago for something. I don't know. Heck, that was fun. I got to go.
You got it. Was it a trip to Chicago, or were you sentenced to Chicago?
No, it was a trip. I think it was Chicago. It wasn't New York.
Did it have a lake? Did you see a lake anywhere? Windy. Okay, it was definitely an ambassador trip to Chicago. We had similar trips when I was here, but it's the point I'll make again. I think John made that point. You become an alum the minute that you graduate. There is no fee to become a part of the Alumni Association, but we want to stay connected. John's right. We both graduated a while ago. What we may think was quote unquote cool, or let's get together and do this. The 80s, the 90s, the 70s, a little bit different.
And the other thing is, you have a lot of friends. You have a handful of friends left from high school, but some of your best friends and longest friends are your college years if you went to university. Okay, now we have
here. Now you can have you sit there. I'm going to put these on.
All right.
And we have.
Now, what's your name?
My name is Maddie.
I met you before, but we have to do this.
Yes.
And what's an ambassador do?
So as a student ambassador, we're really welcoming incoming students possibly and their families to campus. We give them tours of campus and then we also just then pass them off to the admissions counselors because then they talk to them and answer any other questions that they have.
Do you get training?
Yeah, I would say we definitely do get training. But we give them tours, so.
You're sort of the salesman, right?
Could say that, yeah.
So I want to mention that John said we have an ambassador here, but I think we have two ambassadors. John confessed that he was an ambassador back in
back in 1970.
That's cool.
So it's interesting that we have two of it. It's generational. So John, how much has the campus changed? Sure. I'm sorry, I was getting off.
Passing notes.
Passing notes.
High school, not at UPJ.
Passing notes, but I'm sure that the ambassadors that you do today, in 2023, the point of bringing back, new students, parents, alum, legacy. How much has changed? So when were you an ambassador? Let's just get that straight.
It's going to sometime between 74 and 78, probably 76, I would think. You have to be here a year or two before you really.
So it was a much shorter tour.
And it didn't have as much history. I mean, now you another 40 years added on to the history of UPJ since I went. But human nature remains the same. The competition has gotten steeper now because kids the parents want. I want a room by myself for my son or daughter. I want to do this. I want to have that. I don't want to pay any more than others. Or there's pay. And so we're in competition. And I don't know the numbers today. When I went to school, I was first generation college educated. Probably back in the 70s, that was probably a whole lot of people that parents were sons and daughters of immigrants, and they were the first generation, so into the mill with them. But their sons and daughters were the first ones to go to college. It might be a little bit different, but I don't know the numbers, how many are first generation college students now. I guess that's what the ambassadors. They're probably not trained in that either.
No.
But this is UPJ, this is where it started, this is how many students we have.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, when you look at what the 70s and what the 90s and what the 80s and the buildings, a lot of those came, I know Dr. Spector talked about it earlier, through the generous gifts of alumni that said, I took a tour and we need a better theater facility. Pascarella Performing Arts. When I went here, it was the sports center. There was no wellness center. Your wellness center was walking, in the wind from building to building. But it's bringing, those starting from the I want to go there to I want to come back. And that happened a lot by people doing what, John?
Oh, giving on the Day of Giving.
I keep putting in the W. I don't know what upj.pitt.edu/give. And it doesn't have to be.
You went here, you called it Whoopie-J. That's why.
Whoopie, that's what it was? But it doesn't have to be those.
And where are you from? You're from Pittsburgh area, aren't you?
I am actually from Johnstown. I went to high school at Conemaugh Township.
Oh, you're Conemaugh Township.
Yeah.
My wife went to Conemaugh Township.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, that's small world.
Yeah.
I don't think they don't think they know each other.
No, I don't think so either.
That's where you were going for. John, you're from Johnstown.
Johnstown, yeah. West End and now West Point. I have a farm in Conemaugh Township.
Really?
I think we're waiting.
UPJY.
I picked UPJ. I'm actually a commuter, so
I did too. I commuted my 4 years and worked.
Yeah. Just being close to my family. Also, the class sizes. I'm a marketing major, and I just think a lot of the business faculty are just great, and I feel like I'm building a relationship with them I'm a sophomore this year, so
You belong to any clubs or anything up on campus?
really, I mean, as far as just I give the tours, student ambassador, so yeah, that's honestly, it takes up a lot of my time, but.
And that gives you good credentials too.
Yeah.
Any drawbacks of being a commuter?
I feel like, especially my freshman year, it was a little bit difficult to meet people, but just I had to put myself out there more to
be
kind of
extroverted.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, you're an ambassador, so
The price of gas has got to be a deterrent. Get a room probably at the Comfort Inn for what you can pay for a tank of gas now at some point. But I think what's interesting, and none of this, ladies and gentlemen, those watching, none of these are scripted. And it's interesting that you keep hearing the same theme. Here's a generation that says, I came to UPJ because, small classes. I got to know my professors. I say the same things, and John will say the same thing. So it's not something that there's a card off camera saying, talk about the small classes, talk about the quality education. It's integrated. I mean, it's something that I think many of us as alum have felt. You've said it yourself. No one, said here talk about
No.
small classes, but it does make a difference.
Yeah.
In a world where you see a universe that's expanding, I think you start to see that smaller universe come out, that you get that practical experience,
Yes.
which is more than just learning about marketing. But
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's one thing.
When you get older, what gets weird, you have friends that took education and stuff. They end up being like teachers, and it's like, we're college professors. I have friends that are college professors. I'm like, you're a college professor, and it's pretty amazing. How many people are in the ambassadors? I guess it's not called a club. It's something you're asked to be an ambassador.
So it's actually like an employment. So so you can just apply to be an ambassador. I think right now we have a little under 20 students.
That's a good number.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But yeah, we're recruiting today for
Oh, so-
our
so
fall
that's-
semester.
okay,
Yep,
okay.
for next fall.
Yep, time stands still for no one. You always have to look to tomorrow because those slots have to be filled. It's an ongoing opportunity.
Yeah.
And once again, it's a never-ending story. So there are going to be freshman students coming in. They'll be looking for financial help, and one way that we can help them is by
giving on Pitt Day of Giving at upj.pitt.edu/give. Got one question before I let you go. So we always ask this. We do a 10 questions alumni thing every Wednesday on our Facebook page.
I see it.
Yeah, so here's a question that I always ask. We always ask alum. We're going to ask you this. You got to have a weather story.
A weather story.
A weather story. Everybody has a UPJ weather story. Any weather story?
I would say just walking in the wind and the rain. Last semester, I would say definitely. Always fun.
Always said that Johnstown had 4 seasons: wind, snow, rain, and sleet. And that in July the temperature is usually 125, but the wind chill brings it back down around 60 or 70. But you come back anyway, and it's one of those affinity things that everyone seems to have a weather story. Let me ask you this, since I know one of the other questions we ask. If you had to come up with a song that summates Pitt-Johnstown, what would it be? Put you on the spot, huh?
Yeah, that is putting me on the spot. Probably not Here Comes the Sun.
Oh man, that's a good. I see a theme here. Or when it does come.
On a serious note, since you're a commuter and I was a commuter, where do you hang out on campus? Since you don't have a dormitory.
Yes.
I guess they have places where's a comfort zone?
So
you might have other friends that have dormitories.
I would say friends, or just like in the student union here, or I spend a lot of my time in the admissions office now since I work there.
I thought you were going to say library.
Sometimes. Yes.
So is it Maddie? You go by Maddie?
Maddie, yeah.
Okay. Maddie, thanks. We've got our next guest, Miss Sherry Ray, who I don't know
Thank you.
what title. Sherry's one of those Pitt-Johnstown employees that, involved in so many different things. I think it's one of the things, honestly, that makes Pitt-Johnstown. I think one of the themes we talked about throughout the afternoon is just this: you get to know people. And I'm not talking you get to know your roommate. You get to know your professors, your deans, the president. And I think that anytime that happens, you take a real chance. You can stay behind your desk and you can stay in a room and not answer questions whenever you're headed between classes. Sherry, I think, is just. We'll talk about a lot of different things I think that Sherry's involved with here. But I know one of the things we want to talk about today is the food pantry. That is unfortunate something. But again, I think to kind of tie it all back into Pitt Day of Giving, we talked about giving where you see the need. We've seen in the recent past, alum that have said, I don't want to give to a scholarship. I don't want to give to other things. I want to give to where the need is. I want to give an emergency. I want to start an emergency fund. I want to be, and it was funny because recently I was in financial aid, and I'd asked, how common is this? And financial aid individual I was talking with said, we have over 100 students in a year may come in and say simple things like, I don't have bus fare home. I can't get to an interview. I don't have money to buy a pair of shoes, so I'm really, I'm not very, I don't feel very good about going to an interview with a pair of shoes that are scuffed, or I don't have a suit jacket, or my meal plan has expired. So there's been a trend, and you can do that through Pitt Day Giving at upj.pitt.edu/give. And one of the things that I guess is the big buildup is that Sherry also has started a food pantry. And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I can't say I started it, but many of us. There's a couple different things. Right before, and it actually started before the pandemic, we realized that there were a lot of students in need, and we found in conversations among all the student affairs staff, somebody was saying, oh, I loaned this student, a jacket for an interview, or this student was in need, so I brought in some pasta and pasta sauce for them. So we had a lot of those stories kind of creeping up about students who, just needed a little bit more to get them over the top and make them successful. So we met, several of us met with SGA members and talked about starting a food pantry, and we did.
What's SGA? What's SGA?
Student Government Association, okay. Yes.
You thought it was something else, didn't you?
Can't use acronyms because people don't know the acronyms.
Yes. And so we started the food pantry, and we just started putting out calls for donations of direct food. Had a couple, our staff council and student government did a couple events. They did a Food for Fines event where students could bring in food instead of paying parking fines.
I saw that.
And different things that we could do to kind of build up the food pantry.
How'd that go?
Very successful.
So my question was, a lot of generous students, or was it a lot of lawbreakers? What do you?
A little of both. A little of both. So yeah, right before the pandemic started, we were able to start the food pantry.
It's only cost me a can of Camel soup. I'm okay with this.
And we have a room in the upstairs of the student union. It is open, during the normal business hours. Students can go in. At this point, they don't have to register or do anything other than just go in and take what they need. We do ask that they make sure that they leave some for others as well, but take what they need. We have pasta sauce, we have pastas, rice, tuna, different things. We also have, toothbrushes and toothpastes and dish detergent and laundry detergent and different things that they may need that they just don't have the budget for otherwise. I will also plug, because you mentioned interview clothes, in the Career Services office, there is a career closet as well, where we have interview attire, dress clothes, suits, suit jackets, blazers, shoes, ties, anything a student might need to borrow because they have an interview that pops up suddenly that they're not expecting.
Let me ask.
But how many guys that are 22, they're going to college, they have a suit that fits? Last time we got was like when they went to
I won't. Yeah, I won't mention an interview situation I had where I had lunch and they offered me soup. As part of that, is this a question or is this actually?
Yeah.
They want to give me. But in all seriousness, so I keep calling it the food pantry, but it has a name.
Yeah, it's PJ Provides is what we.
So when someone out there looking, how do I?
Yes.
How do I give to the career services? How do I help PJ Provides? Because I think a lot of it, and the theme that I think we've kind of hit on a lot, even with the Alumni Association. I want to help, but I want to know how.
Yes.
That's a great idea, but how do I? What do I have to do? How do I get there?
Yep. And like I said, we started with direct donations of just food, but we do have now a fund through our business office where we can take monetary donations. And I have a Costco membership. Other staff members have a Sam's Club membership. We can maximize the money that we have to buy what we specifically need or what is most popular. So people can donate financially. We have a great partner with Chartwell's, our food service vendor. They will make donations for us with the stuff that they can buy wholesale. And the Student Government Association has given us some funds to purchase as well. And then I will talk about our event at the end of the semester that we have each year called Upcycle, that we also use to drive donations for students. Again, anybody who's cleaning out their closet, stuff that doesn't fit, stuff they don't use. They have an apartment and they're not going to need the cookware and things that they had there. They can bring to the Cambria room. It's always the week before finals. They can donate it here. For every item that they donate, they'll get a ticket. And if they come back later in the week and they want to shop through what other people have donated, they can either spend that ticket or $1. Everything's $1. We've given away Keurigs for $1. But then those dollars then go back into the food pantry.
That's great.
Those items go to people who may need them. We donate everything that's left at the end of the week to not only Goodwill, but the Women's Help Center and different places. And that also started with, if we have students who are in some desperate need, our counseling center, our chapel staff will also give out tickets so that students come in and get things that they need without the embarrassment of having to come in and not have money for it.
Do they bring furniture too? Like if they have an apartment,
We'll get some small things like a folding chair or a rolling desk chair.
Couch in.
Nobody's bringing a couch. Yeah, we can't really take large furniture just because then if nobody would buy it, we don't really have any way to get rid of it. But things like bookshelves and that kind of stuff that they have in there.
People still donate ramen noodles?
Yes, we do get a lot, and there are a lot of students who really enjoy them. So
that's it's a staple.
There's some over there right now.
So if I want to get in, because I'm sitting here and we're live streaming, and if there's an alum out there that says, I work for a chain, or I own my own business, or I've got the ways and means. I don't want to use any brand names or any companies, but I can make a donation of cases of this, or I go back to the idea of clothing.
Yes.
A lot we don't think about that, and you think, God, I live with an individual that, man, hopefully she's not watching this because you're going to get suit coats, ties, shoes. You don't need all that. But so you can contact definitely the Alumni Association. I'll give my DGJ7 at Pitt.edu. But where else how can they connect?
Yeah, any member of the Student Affairs Division, from our Vice President, my email is srae@pitt.edu. I'm the Director of Equity and Community Engagement. My office is here in the Union, in with our Career Services Suite. So if people have physical donations they want to bring, clothes, food, any of those things, if you want to clean out your own house for Upcycle and bring your dish rack and pots and pans you're getting rid of, those things can be sent to me directly. And then also, like I said, our Vice President of Student Affairs in his office, they can take, they have the account number for that donation if they want to do monetary donations.
So if somebody want to do a monetary donation, or someone said, look, I've got this, and, it's dishes we're not going to sell, or, cases of whatever we're not going to use. I know this, sure, again, storage becomes an issue, but nonetheless, starting that dialogue,
absolutely.
I think is important.
Absolutely. And that's why we try to keep upcycle a consistent time every year, right before finals, so people know. And especially it's right after Thanksgiving or shortly after spring break, so people can do some cleaning out while they're home. And yep.
Now you mentioned, I know Brandon's behind us over here, so maybe I've got to go grab him, tap him on the shoulder, bring him here. But you talked about career services, and we've talked about it. Matt, myself, John, the Alumni Association. And if there's an alum out there watching, how can alum get more involved? I own a company. I know that they do a very successful. I attended this year. The engineering department did a very successful employment fair. I know Brandon's got an employment fair coming up, but it's I sit and we just got the university got a nice donation from HF Lens, but it was interesting from the two alum that were presenting the check to say that we look here in Johnstown, at Pitt-Johnstown, to fill our ranks, to fill our roles, that a third of our company is Pitt-Johnstown graduates. What are some ideas that an alum could help with career services, if there was an angle, if there was a...
Yeah, and you mentioned Brandon Rager, who's the director, and Kim Shook, who's our employment relations specialist. The two of them connect with our faculty, so if anybody would want to do a presentation... they coordinate internships and job opportunities. We as a campus and all the Pitt campuses use a program called Handshake. That employers can post jobs to, as well as anything that they're doing as far as internships or anything like that. And then on my end, as far as equity and community engagement, if they even are looking for just volunteers or somebody to do a smaller scale event or something like that, we can all connect them to students that may be interested, especially our first year students who are maybe still wondering, I know I'm going into engineering, but do I want to work outside? Do I want to work inside? Do I want to talk to somebody who has been in those roles and know a little bit more about what the day-to-day looks like?
And again, I think that's those partnerships that we'd like to see created, because you're right. I'm getting a degree. And if I'm going into something that's, more liberal arts, there's a lot of questions to, what do I do with my communications degree?
There's a little bit of flexibility of where you can go, even if you were set on a direction, there's still a range you can go.
And it's always, we want to see those connections between, an alum that had come through here and a new alum that's looking to get into that field. How do we make those connections? How do we use that alumni?
How do we create that and make that a nexus for it? Because the scariest place to be is you're a senior. You're graduating in 3 months. And all you're doing is shotgunning resumes out. It would be nice to know as a UPJ that, you know what, there's a graduate. He started his own business back in 1972 and rather successful now, and maybe we can communicate with him.
I just talked with an alum that works at one of the local accounting firms. 13 employees, 6 of them Pitt-Johnstown graduates. So somewhere that connection was made, and I think it was probably made by the quality of the student that was graduating, that it wasn't just like a nepotism thing, you went to Pitt-Johnstown. No, they got real good quality, but it's making those connections, and I can't reiterate enough. Sometimes it's for a lack of ask. That how do we get involved? How do we help? How do we help this food pantry? I can tell you how you give for Pitt Day of Giving. How you do that, John?
And how do you do give?
upj.pitt.edu, almost messed up, /give. upj.pitt.edu/give.
And how long do we have?
You have till midnight tonight for Pitt Day of Giving. I do want to mention, I don't know if we mentioned it earlier, but the Power Hour. We did see, 20 people jump on during the Power Hour. I don't know where we are in the leaderboard now. I know we can get Matt back in here in a little bit to kind of wrap us up and talk a little bit about that. We got 10 minutes.
There is one thing. We had a student, and I don't know if it was he or she, but they were going to sing the alma mater for us. They used up some time. Do you know the alma mater?
His excuse was he had to go to class.
But my excuse is that I am not a graduate of Pitt-Johnstown, so
we have to teach her. Maybe.
No, I've learned the alma mater, but I'm also getting over sinus infection, so nobody wants me to hear me sing.
And Dave said he won't sing it.
And I know that tune. It's called Excuses.
Excuses. My excuse is I have no idea.
Yeah, but hum a few bars of those.
Bars we might start.
Hum a few bars of excuses. So, Matt, I don't know if we want to switch Sherry out and kind of wrap it up. Sherry, thanks for coming.
Thank you
Again,
very much.
to get involved anywhere at Student Affairs.
Yeah, contact anyone in the Division of Student Affairs, from our Vice President, Chris Stumpf, or Heather Hall, any of us.
Is that a separate line item? Is Division of Student Affairs one a separate line item?
That could probably go into unrestricted. I don't know. There's not a.
So it's out there. Where is one of those places, and how do you give?
You give it upj.pitt.edu.give or /give.
Hi, Matt.
I've never seen two people so bad at a web address in my life.
All I know is you wanted to do this for 24 hours. We can't do it for 5 without running.
I gave you guys 40 minutes. I went to the back.
But before we go any further, you know what I do want to do is I want to thank these guys because this doesn't happen. Eagles Ridge.
You got to thank Matt's only on Eagles Ridge because he's the computer.
But that's right.
Savvy guy to put this whole thing together.
And our goal is to do a 24-hour telethon.
Maybe next year.
We were going to do
We'll get some entertainment next year.
Some entertainment, maybe a saxophone player.
Maybe somebody play sax.
Playing sax or something along those lines. But I want to thank these guys because this is, it's all part of giving. It's coming back. It's Eagles Ridge setting this apparatus just doesn't happen. This isn't an iPhone where I'm a shaky video. This is pro stuff. And, alum that are coming back, spending their day here saying, let's.
It's what the president talked about, giving time. And it's the folks, and not just John and I here today, but it's our entire alumni board. It's that do things. It's the volunteers that show up. It's the people that come and support us at homecoming and the golf tournament and the Mountain Cat tournament, which was a huge success again this year. We had 4 great schools, great tournament. Live stream that as an event.
Had supporters. We thank our sponsors. And we live streamed that, and live stream we had supporters on there. We had sponsors on there. Yep. So it was, it was an opportunity again to trade off some support for some really good exposure in front of Matt's right 2 days of tournaments. The final game came down to 10 points in the last couple of minutes, so it wasn't like
those are some hard-fought games.
There was some really hard-fought games. We want to do more of these live streams. This was a kind of an experiment beyond talking about basketball for 2 days.
It was the inaugural effort here, and Matt and I on the alumni board. There are 9 openings, so if there's anybody out there that has an interest out there. Feel free. You can nominate yourself or nominate somebody else. But if you nominate somebody else, tell them you're doing it.
Yeah. Because we will check with them and make sure that they want to serve.
And you don't have to be a member of the board to participate in some of the things that we're going to be working on over the next 12 months. But what we really want you to do is become part of the family. If you're watching us, send your email, your communication, how we can communicate back to you so you get the monthly newsletter, e-blast, or whatever we want to call it, so that you can know what's going on from the UPJ Alumni Board. And once again, we're asking for you to give us some ideas of what you would like to see the alumni do. Besides the Day of Giving, which is
UPJ.Pitt.edu.
We were so close. /edu. We were so close to getting it right that time.
.edu/give.
How do you expect people to give,
You
John?
didn't get it right either.
John distracted me.
I'm hoping it's on the screen.
UPJ.
It's on the bottom of the screen for this whole event.
We should have said, right down.
Down below here. Again, I got to thank certainly you two and the university. When I come up with some of these crazy ideas and say, hey, why don't we live stream this and stuff? No. And you guys jumped right in there with it.
Question. We'll know how many people.
We'll be able to see some analytics.
Do we know who they are?
No.
Okay, if you're watching this podcast or live stream or whatever we're calling ourselves, we'll know about how many people dropped in on us and watched us for a little bit.
Yeah.
But what we'd like to do, if you did watch this, send us your email or how we can communicate with you so we can put you onto the mailing list so you can know what's going on with the alumni board. And that would be very helpful to us. And I'll tell you what, very beneficial to you, too. Once again, we're a UPJ family, and the Alumni Board's trying to do a lot of things to get graduates engaged and continue the legacy onward. But as we wrap up our podcast, it's good till 11:59 p.m. tonight. You can still give at
upj.pitt.edu/give. And again, we have all those great different funds that you can give to. Choose what you'd like. Certainly, scholarships is a big one if you want to help support. The donation of most need is I think a big one, because that can go to so many different things that pretty much is helps us do all these sorts of things. Whether it's, we've heard about the food pantry, or technology, or facilities, or just in general, all kind of stuff. The athletics. We'd be remiss if we don't take a moment and thank everyone who joined us. Of course, Dr. Spector took a lot of his day out for us, and that is much appreciated. Chris Stumpf. Sherry Ray, who was just here.
PJ Mascot.
We had PJ, we had Coach Pecora and Abby Gerhardt.
He didn't have too much to say, though, did he?
They had a bad mic.
We had all kind of amazing people. I have to say thank you. No, come around. Just coming back. I'm not going to make you talk. One of the folks that help us do these sorts of things, we have our IT help here. This is Dr. Cernell, where I learned all my technology from. You and your team helped us hook this up and made sure we had great internet to make this work. And that's kind of what we talked about all day, is how this was a team effort and a group that continues to kind of work and pull together. So,
and one of the things Dr. Spector brought up was that infrastructure and new computer system, because we had somebody up on a roof holding up an antenna the whole time because we need new technology for computers and stuff. And we had to tell them, twist it left, twist it right. So we get
I tell you what, that guy was great. That windstorm that came through, we're going to miss him.
Yeah.
But, no, that's true. So, again, thank you all. John, thanks for coming and spending time with us. David.
Thank you, Matt.
Well.
Thank you, Dr. Cernell.
And all of you for tuning in, listening. upj.pitt.edu/give. Our live stream may be over, but Pitt Day of Giving is still going to go on for a bunch more hours. So if you get a chance, donate. Please donate. Help us out. Even a couple dollars. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it does go far when we talk about 20,000 plus alumni.
Many hands make light work.
Yes. So on behalf of the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown, the Pitt-Johnstown Alumni Association, the amazing team here at UPJ, I want to thank you and wish you all a happy Pitt Day of Giving and a great spring.